The holidays have come and gone, the new year has begun, and we are itching to dive back into things here. So to begin Season 8, we're going to take a look at one of the more critically acclaimed indie titles in recent memory, and probably one of the most polarizing, Undertale. Outwardly, it looks like just another game giving homage to the classics of the 90s with its simplistic-looking design. But once inside, you learn that the game is anything but, finding out that it's a multi-layered narrative which causes the player to question the idea of morality, giving you several options to go about accomplishing the game's challenges, and also to find out just how far you're willing to go in achieving the goals. We are filled with determination here as we open 2018 with Undertale next on downloadable content. Hello everyone and welcome to Season 8 of Downloadable Content. I am Brian Williams and with me we have Ron.
Hey everyone.
We have Ron Squared.
Greetings.
And we have Dejah.
Hi, I'm Bob.
Hi Bob.
If I'd thought of it, we should have all done that. It would have been amazing.
Now, which one of you is the annoying dog? Anyway.
Oh, Ronnie.
Hi, I'm Timmy!
But yes, Season 8. I did not think downloadable content would last this long, but here we are, and at this point, I'm just going to ride it for as long as I feel like it, so...
It's third grader.
Our 3 viewers will appreciate the new episode.
Yeah.
It's also the fact that it's also the thing of like, listen, there's a lot of hot air on the internet. Us throwing our hot air onto it's not really gonna like matter a whole lot, but I think some people get some enjoyment out of it.
Yeah, I mean it's something we do for fun. So, for the 5 or so listeners that I have, welcome back. Thank you for listening. And yes, we're gonna start Season 8 off with Undertale. Now it's a little bit of a break because normally when we talk about a specific game, it's usually due to an anniversary episode. However, we are going to be
2-year anniversary.
It's actually about 2.5.
Oh,
yeah.
It
blew up in like the winter time. So
yeah, Undertale right now is in the Undertale is in the terrible 2s at the moment. So. It's
terrible one was the bad time.
Not an anniversary episode. However, the reason why I wanted to talk about Undertale was because, in thinking about ideas for episodes for Season 8, I was chatting with somebody just about games that gamers consider polarizing, which was a topic that we talked about all the way back in Season 1. We devoted an episode to polarizing video games. And so I'm like, what games in very recent memory, have that sort of polarizing opinion amongst gamers? Either you like it or you hate it. And if you hate it, you're doing it wrong. You're not allowed to have a opinion of the game. You must love it or you must hate it or you will die.
Okay, going by that definition, it makes a little bit more sense. I was very confused at why you said polarizing, because not that Undertale doesn't have detractors, but like it's pretty universally loved. Like there's a very small portion of people who don't like it. When I think polarizing, I think a game that has 50-50 people who hate it or people who love it.
But
And there's nothing wrong with not liking it. I totally get the whole if you don't like something that's like, I'm trying to think of I don't know, like, I guess if you went back like 20 years, if you were the one person who was like, I don't know, Final Fantasy VII doesn't seem that great, everyone would have been like, screw you, dude. I had to make sure I didn't swear there or something.
Well,
But
this is a very fine, sophisticated program. You can swear all you like.
Okay. Indubitably. I'll put my pinky up. Okay, so swearing's fine. That's fine. That's good to know. Anyway, like, if you were the one person back then, people probably would have been like, fuck you, dude, whatever, you don't know good games. But if you were to say now, like, I don't know, Final Fantasy VII's not that good, people would be like, yeah. Nowadays, it's more like, I don't even know why everybody loved it. Like, it's flipped to the other side, where it's like, okay, it has problems. And at the time, we were too, like, fanboying to see, but it's not bad. Like, there's a reason it was a big deal.
This is going to become the part 2 of the Final Fantasy VII podcast, isn't it? We're going to do another 4.
Ocarina of Time, like, you can go with anything. That's just usually my go-to.
It might,
because I know that game well.
Before we get too carried away here, just want to remind everybody out there, including the 5 people who are listening to this, not including the panel, that every single episode of downloadable content is on our website, dlcpodcast.com. You can find out who we are. You can take a look at the upcoming recording schedule. I've put up on the website the recording topics for like the first 10 or so episodes for this season. So if you want to be in on any of those, check it out. You can also send us feedback, give us ideas for new episodes, or just give us a shout out, let you know what you think of the previous episodes. It's fine too. And you can also get links to where the episodes are located depending on your platform of choice. You could either listen to an episode directly from the website, or you can listen to it either on iTunes, YouTube, Stitcher, or Google Play Music. So all the different ways to get downloadable content into your ears. Take that as you will. I do not discriminate, whatever's your kink.
It's audible chocolate.
Basically. I mean, I just stuffed my face with a Hershey bar before we started recording, so I mean, we're good there. So, and also, the last thing I will mention before we dive deep into the world that is Undertale, there is a massive spoiler warning. Just putting that out there. If you've never played Undertale and you're interested in playing it, and you don't want to be spoiled, stop listening at this point. Turn the episode off right now, Raiden. And
let me add one thing to that, Brian. Undertale is a game that is best played without being spoiled if you possibly can. There's a lot of games where I will watch stuff on YouTube or listen to podcasts or hear stuff about it because it makes me more likely to play the game. This is one of those games where you really should go into it blind if you can.
If at all possible, yes. So come back to this episode after you've played it, after you've played Undertale, and go from there. So you have been warned. There will be spoilers aplenty, as I assume all 4 of us have played Undertale, or at least have watched it.
Played it
just a couple times.
Once.
Just a few times. All right. Good. All right.
And I like doing the voices when I force other people to play it.
Yes. We've done that a couple times.
See, Brian, you should have played it with Ronnie and me, because then you totally would have loved it because of our sweet voice acting skills.
This game for me was I'm firmly in the camp when it comes to Undertale, because there were things about Undertale that I really liked and I thought were really done well, and then there were other bits of Undertale which I feel it didn't really work for me on a personal level. The reason why I considered Undertale to be a bit on the polarizing front, even though it is universally acclaimed, was that when I voiced this opinion that I was like, I I then got replies of varying levels of disagreement and consternation.
Which that makes a lot more sense. I remember when you were like, not a fan. I was like, what? But I thought like you hated it, not like, I don't know, it's just, it's okay.
Yeah, that
would have been basically... like, oh, well,
that was basically...
I wish you could have liked it. I wish you could be up here with me, but no, that's fine. Like, it's just not your favorite game. That's okay.
That's not my favorite game. It is not a dislike, but again, when I voiced that opinion, it's like at varying degrees of disagreement and consternation. To really, you didn't like the game? I mean, that's surprising. To all the way to you did Undertale wrong. How do you not like?
Yeah,
we'll go into that later because that's something I wanted to bring up.
So right from the get-go, just when I started this game, and I waited until the initial fan crazy died out before plunging into this game. That's what I typically like to do with a game anyway, trying very, very hard to avoid spoilers. Some of it was already well and truly ruined for me well before I started the game. Like the fact that it has multiple endings.
I mean, that's not really a spoiler per se, but it is relevant to the discussion.
You didn't let me finish.
True, sorry.
Let me guess. You knew it had multiple endings, and one of them was murdering everyone?
Yeah, I was told that it had multiple endings and what the different endings entailed, like how you got them.
I feel like if you tell somebody you can kill everything, but you don't have to kill everything, like that's a spoiler, but not a spoiler.
Well, okay. This much I'll say, and some people say, to me, telling people that you don't have to kill stuff is not a spoiler. It's in the description of the game on every single site you buy it at.
Oh, it is?
Like that was basically the tagline on Kickstarter. It's in the Steam page. It's on the back of the box. Like that is like one of the traits that they use to sell the game. So that's not a spoiler.
Well, excuse me, husband of mine, but when you told me about the game, you were the one who told me, so I thought you had seen it in like a Let's Play or something.
Which is basically what I thought, because getting that in, because I'll be honest, I don't typically read. To me, like reading a game description on Steam is kind of like reading the instruction manual for a video game.
Nobody reads the manual. Wait a minute. They don't even make manuals for games anymore.
From the very top of the thing for Undertale and Steam, the RPG game where you don't have to destroy anyone.
Yeah, I didn't bother reading that. But knowing that going in, sort of influences the way that I would normally approach a game. But just starting the game right off the bat, the very first comparison, it's an easy comparison to make, just seeing, the graphics of this game. They're not the best graphics in the world. The very first thing I thought of was, this is going to be an homage to Earthbound.
Absolutely.
Well, it started as it.
Yeah.
I mean, Toby Fox, before he did this, created the Halloween Earthbound hack, so he obviously has a lot of love for that game.
Oh yeah, that wasn't a bad thing. That was just the first thing that I thought of, and probably millions of others who've played this and Earthbound as well. So,
and the humor's definitely similar in that, like, what the heck were they thinking when they who wrote this and what were they on?
The humor in this game, yeah, there's some moments where it's just like tongue firmly in cheek.
Oh,
and other points where I'm just like, okay, I'm missing something here.
This game definitely has an out there sense of humor, but it nails comedy much better than most games do.
Agreed. And just, I didn't know going in, what to at the start of this, because the first real, event of the game is that you are met with this talking flower who calls himself
Flowey.
you mean my friend?
He calls your best friend. And the music is cheery, and he's smiling, and oh, happy. Hey, this is happy.
Give me those friendliness.
So
pellets.
random aside, I went into Undertale without knowing anything. I went into it thankfully pretty blind. And this is back when the winter craze happened, when everyone started playing it.
Yeah.
I showed up to Flowey, and I saw this cute little flower, and immediately my thought goes, "Oh, this isn't going to end well. This is not going to end well. I know this trope way too much."
Did you dodge the pellets?
I didn't dodge the first one, because I was like, I'll play along and see what happens, and then I suppose
dodging the pellets is just the most satisfying thing ever.
I suppose
the way the music, like the record scratch.
I suppose since Ron said his and Brian said his, for us, I discovered Undertale through YouTube. I watched a playthrough up to the ruins.
Bros.
Yeah, through
they need the ads.
Yeah, up through the ruins, and as soon as it got to the tutorial battle, and you see Flowey the second time, I went, nope, close the game. I need to play this. Like, I know that I need to play this. I'm not gonna watch anymore. Actually, I didn't even know. They didn't even finish the tutorial battle. That's when I stopped, and that's when then Dejah and I went and started playing it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if you don't mind me sort of taking a slight tangent here. So okay, we're gonna jump to the tutorial fight for a moment. So when Ronnie and I were playing this, I knew that you could save everybody, but as we were fighting tutorial, like, it was going on so long and it wasn't showing the mercy thing, so I thought maybe we have to get her like halfway. I'm trying to think like just RPG fight mechanics. Like maybe we have to get her halfway and then, something changes.
And one of the froggets says that you might need to fight someone, but show mercy at the end, which they're obviously referring to Asgore later, but to a new player, you could easily construe that as the tutorial fight.
So we get her about halfway, and then we do one other hit, and then it's super, it totally kills her when you're not expecting it. So we're screaming at the computer screen, "No, oh my God, no!" Because we didn't want to kill her. She's Goat Mom.
Goat Mom forever.
So we're like, okay, all right, fine then. All right, let's go into the next area. So, not knowing, the Flowey shows back up again when he's like, "Oh, I see what you did there. Does it feel real good?" I'm like, "No! Boo!" We turned it off.
I watched what you did there. I watched you kill her.
We turned it off.
Shut up, you little piece of shit.
We were like, nope. Okay, restarting game. How do we... So we restarted it without trying to delete the content, which is what we did in the end. And then we didn't kill her. And then we went back down the hallway, and Flowey's like, "You think I didn't see what you did there? You tried to save her, but I know what you really did." And I'm like, "No! Fuck you, Flower! This game is not bullying me! Fuck you, game! You are not smarter than me!"
See, this is a thing that I actually really liked about Undertale, is
that it remembers?
Yeah.
It's brilliant, but
the fact that
that's a great design choice.
Ron,
I agree. Like like having there be text noting when people would do the whole save, reset, redo, and having a text file that flags it as if save happens and different outcome occurs, then make some generic comment about, "I saw what you did there."
Here's what's so amazing to me. This game was done in Game Maker. That's not something Game Maker can do.
Yeah,
he made the scripting work.
Yeah, you probably have to hack that pretty deep to get it to work right.
Yeah, I don't know how. I've seen conversations online about, okay, I'm using Game Maker. I have no idea how Toby Fox managed this in Undertale. I don't have even the slightest clue of how he did some of the things he did.
He's wizard.
Sorry.
Going on that point, it's it's a brilliant design choice because I can't recall another game where
Metal Gear Solid.
Metal Gear Solid is. I was gonna say that, but this game.
Sure, you were, Ryan. We believe in you.
Takes the idea. It's like the game itself is meta.
Yeah, and there's a couple of games that have come since Undertale that have done meta. There's a couple of games before Undertale, but none of them hit it big that did meta. But like that's a huge part of Undertale. Like the saving and loading is actually part of the story of the game. It's not just that Flowery remembers. Like they deal with that as part of the plot, and that is fascinating.
Which at the it is both fascinating and disconcerting because when you've been playing video games for as long as we have collectively, like a game that remembers your entire everything and adapts its dialogue to indicate that is
corrupts your game forever. If you ever complete a genocide run, unless you go in and physically delete the data of the game because you know where it is, you can never get rid of that. Even if you uninstall the game, that piece of data is left. It always knows you did a genocide run, and you will always be tainted because of it.
And you do a perfect pacifist run, and it's like, and then you murdered them all in the end.
It taints every ending afterwards. You get a bad ending no matter what.
Which, again, it's a brilliant design choice, but at the same time, creepy as fuck.
I think that was the point, too.
Well.
Yes, obviously that was the point, but I'm just not used to my games doing that.
Obviously I'm not going to call it a survival horror game, but it's a nice, creepy kind of horror element in a not horror at all game.
Like, I think the three things Undertale really had going for it was the meta stuff definitely is a hook. The strong characters is the second step, but also like the underlying part we already touched on it earlier with the comedy is how strong the tone of the game is and how it very easily switches between the comedic stylings and the more serious, depressing, or creepy to a point style of gameplay, and it switches between those pretty easily throughout the game.
Well, that's a trait of good dialogue, which can be done only when you don't have voices. It's possible to do with voices, but it's insanely hard, and you need very, very talented voice actors to be able to do a happy, cheerful tone and then go into immediately serious deadpan.
I think the issue, and this is just a general... By the way, I agree with you 100%. I think the issue is the voice actors in video games. They didn't want to pay real voice actors for a long, long time. And they bring them in so late that you get subpar voice acting in most games up until the last 10 years or so. And even now, even now we're finally starting to get into the good ones, but they're still like, imagine an animated movie. Like, imagine The Incredibles if they used the voices from Final Fantasy X.
Yeah, no, it's bad. But, like, that's more so an issue with just the video game industry as a whole, where they don't want to pay people what they're actually worth because the companies that make video games are cheap. But that's another tangent for another time.
That's why I hated the idea of voice acting in video games. Like when it was starting to happen, I was one of the for a long time. Even now, I'm still like, oh, it has voice acting.
Even well, I mean, like you said, it's a tangent, but I mean, part of it's they don't want to make video games cost $100, and at this point, they're getting towards the point that they need to be making a lot more on video games than they are to keep making AAA games the way they are.
Yeah, I know, but to steer everything back to where Brian
back to the discussion at hand here.
I believe we were somewhere with the initial meeting with Flowey, and then he's like, "Here's our friendship pellet," and you're like, "Oh, this is all right, well, either this is
He's giving you a gift.
yeah, was that gonna be really good or really bad? And knowing
there's
how
cheery music and
and knowing
I didn't trust Flowey when I saw him in the Let's Play I was watching, and after seeing them, when we first played, we dodged the pellets and got him pissed at us, and it was amazing.
yeah.
yeah, I didn't see that. I took the hit, and then I'm just like, oh, well, that wasn't good. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh,
I'm like,
oh, you're gonna be that asshole. Okay,
Yeah.
I see how we're gonna play this game. After, telling you that you're supposed to get, love or LV and experience and just this is your soul. This heart represents you. And so okay. And then Goat Mom.
And I never trusted flowers again.
Every time you go into a florist section at a supermarket, you just look at every single flower there with utter contempt.
yeah. But then Toriel shows up and she scares away Flowey, and then she's like, "Oh, you're a human. Well, this is dangerous because you're in the land of monsters. I need to take you to my house for your protection." And you're kind of just like, okay, I guess.
I was trusting of a stranger and it didn't go well. Let me trust this one.
Yeah,
Go wrong.
It's like, but the reason why I gave her the benefit of the doubt was more so she showed up and ran away, the little flowery dickhead.
Sure.
And it's like, oh, well, you seem nice enough, so you did save my life, so I'll give you the benefit of the doubt because you did something good for me.
And then you meet the best character in the game, Napstablook.
Oh, we're just jumping right there?
I have no idea who the flip that is.
Blookie the ghost.
Oh, the ghost. Yeah, the ghost. The sad ghost.
I'll say, what do you mean we jump right
Dapper?
there? That is literally the next thing that happens. You
What? I thought she left you, to
Yeah, she
go-
leaves you. Yeah,
to
she
go
tells you to
to
go
the
to her
store.
house.
Yeah, and then you run into him on the way to the house.
Okay, I just remember standing there, and then she calls and says, do you like cinnamon or butterscotch? And you go, why? Can I say chocolate? Is there a third option?
Can I get chocolate cookies instead of cinnamon or butterscotch? But
There's the chocolate bar in the fridge.
yeah. Anyway, but I think you have to walk to her house, and then you run into some monsters along the way.
Yep.
Granted, Ronnie just played this 2 days ago, so he probably remembers each screen in order.
But for me, I was tainted by Flowey, and decided killing the monsters along the way was not a bad idea. And get my level up, so I would, be able to take hits. So I killed a few things along the way.
Because here we are, hardened RPG players going, oh, enemies.
Before you even get into your first battle, other than the dummy, you meet the Frogget. It's directly outside of the screen that Toriel leaves you at, that asks you to give mercy to the monsters. That's supposed to be your first clue.
Yeah, but again, RPG player here, and
Yeah, so I think I go into I forget. There's a limit on how many things you can kill, because eventually, when you go genocide, it gives you straight up a tracker number on how many monsters are left in the zone.
So for what you're saying, when you do genocide, there is a certain number of monsters per area. So the ruins, Snowden, Waterfall each have their own set number of monsters. You don't get that tracker until you kill all the monsters in the ruins. When you kill all the monsters in the ruins, and it'll work. Once you get to the point where it says nobody comes and the music changes, that is activating the genocide run. After that, you start getting the counter. And if you try to leave an area, the farther you go, if you're in Waterfall and you try to leave Waterfall without killing all the monsters, you will get a text message from Kara saying, you didn't kill this one, you're a failure. And as you go, the messages get worse.
Alright. But so I killed a couple things and got to level 2 or level 3 or something like that. Not nothing terribly high. No, and that's definitely nothing to trigger genocide either. So you get to Toriel's house, and she's making you like those cinnamon or butterscotch cookies, and then
Butt pie.
Yeah.
If you choose butterscotch.
Yeah, and then you explore the house and see like, oh, this is a mother. She's had kids before, but
she's a snuggled champion with somebody.
Yeah, but there's no husband, and I don't see a kid here. This is a little weird. And then you try and like leave the house afterwards, and she's like, "Well, you can't leave." And, what? Why can't I leave? Well, because it's not safe for you outside. Because you're human. But I need to leave. I need to go home.
And so my RPG player brain's like, oh, I guess I'm not supposed to go here yet. There must be something I'm missing in the house. Let me go explore it for like the third time, because obviously I forgot something. Like
where's that trigger event?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Not realizing, wait, that is the trigger event. You just be like, no, go, mom. You have to let me be free and be who I'm gonna be.
Mm-hmm. So then you fight her.
Yep.
And this is the first actual boss battle. And holy crap, it's really flipping hard.
It's also your first emotional gut punch of the game.
It is.
Yeah.
When she gets to the point where she won't, like, you have to basically run into her attack.
That's what I was going to say. It's really hard until you realize once you get down to 2 HP, her attacks will avoid you on purpose because she doesn't want to kill you. It is possible, but you have to deliberately try to kill yourself to be killed by her.
Yeah, but again, like just me RPG person going into it, and like thinking, my mind is thinking I have to prove myself that I can defend myself by basically quote unquote beating her and like weaken her, not kill her. So to show that I can defend myself, at least if anyone tries to threaten me. And so I'm going through the fight and trying to weaken her. And I think I get to like 3 HP.
Yep.
And I've played bullet hell games before, so I know how this shit goes. I know how to dodge pellets and shit. And so I get her to half.
I played the Toho games, I got this.
Yeah, so I get her to half health, and then I deal the critical, and then you get the emotional gut punch of like, oh, fuck.
Mm-hmm.
You killed Goat Mom.
I still feel bad about it.
Yeah, and that's the point too, and like. I think immediately afterwards, like immediately after Flowey shows up and taunts you.
Oh yeah, no, the very next room is Flowey either telling you if you didn't kill her and you haven't killed her at all, him going, you think you're really clever, right? Do you thought that you didn't have to kill anyone? Well, fine, you were able to get through this, but what happens when you meet a real killer? Will you quit? Will you fight back? Or will you be stuck forever? This is really fun.
Yeah, again, stupid, Flowey piece of shit. Go out of here. Get out of here. No one likes you. And then like 2 screens after that, when you get into the snow area, you meet the next major character in the game.
Sans.
Yes. And immediately,
my favorite character of the game.
Yeah, like immediately I look at this guy and go, "There's something weird about you. It's not just your text bubble being actual sans text."
He's the most. Well, he's not my favorite character. He's probably the most interesting character in the game.
Yeah, but like you meet him and like. He kind of looks at you, and I think like he asks for your help first, and then you can either help him or ignore him.
He tells you that his brother's ahead, and he's a human hunter. He asks you for help a little right after you meet Papyrus.
Okay, yeah. So it's like, hey, my brother's up ahead. He's a human hunter. You may want to avoid him. But then you meet Papyrus, and then
hide behind the conveniently placed lamp.
Yeah.
completely shaped.
Conveniently shaped lamps are.
Shaped.
Yeah.
And then you have Papyrus. One second.
That's my guy.
I feel it necessary to do the Papyrus voice. It is
Yeah.
I,
Papyrus.
the great Papyrus.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I love the theme.
But I was gonna say all of his themes are great. Bone Trussell, that's the battle one.
Yep, that's my favorite of the themes. But you have Sans here, and it's just like, oh, this is
This is
he's
a pretty
regular
chill skeleton.
He's a pretty chill guy. He's a cool dude.
Wearing like a hoodie and
Wearing a
else?
hoodie, little sneakers, and little
Yeah.
fat head, but he's got
he's kicking back.
yeah.
Slippers, actually. He's wearing slippers.
Okay, sorry,
Oh.
slippers.
You're
But,
like,
like,
no, it's fine.
So it's like, but you think that, oh, this is going to be like he's going to be your friend here throughout the game, and then he tells you that if he hadn't made a promise to
the person
Toriel,
behind the door.
you
You didn't even know who it is, though. He just says, if I didn't promise the person behind the door that I
Who likes
wouldn't
my
harm a
shitty
human.
Jokes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
he mentions the female voice, but he doesn't know Toriel's name.
Yeah. He just says female voice female voice behind the door, I think is what he says,
Yep.
basically.
And if you didn't do that, you would already be dead.
Yeah. And then they go, oh,
Does
okay.
his eye glow? Wait, no,
Nope.
the eye doesn't
He
glow
has
there. He
no
just
eyes.
goes. He goes.
It's straight deadpan, no music, no nothing. It's like, if I didn't promise her, you'd already be dead.
Yeah.
And he's like, "JK, LOL," but not really.
Yeah. And then he goes, "What are you taking me so seriously for?"
Wah, wah, wah.
But I mean, we already touched on it there. Like, there's a whole nother side to him other than the joking skeleton,
right.
Yeah.
which you see at the end of the game in all of the modes.
Mm-hmm.
One of my favorite things, this is for all the characters, but one of my favorite things about Undertale, the characters, is what you sort of see on the surface and fall in love with, but then if you play long enough and you try to get every little extra bit, sort of seeing the serious side of everybody.
Oh yeah, there's so much real personality underneath the characters, like more than just the surface level. Like, the only character that's really upfront about who they are is Papyrus. And
Well,
that's,
even he,
yeah,
I
he
guess, for him, maybe he's not as layered, I suppose.
Well, he's as broken as everybody else. He's just upfront about it.
Well, so if I mentioned this on the internet, people would probably murder me. But so killing Toriel is sad. It's not my gut punch. I have two gut punches.
Okay, wait.
And-
Let me just preface this. We did a genocide run that we never finished.
Up until Undyne, and she kicked my ass, and I went, nope, not worth it. I've gotten far enough, and I couldn't get past her. So hell was I getting past Sans.
Yeah, I
which is such an entertaining fight to watch somebody do. I would pull my hair out before I could finish that.
Knowing the genocide route involves killing everything, and I do mean everything.
Mm-hmm. Okay, wait. I suppose I'll go with Brian. Have you ever seen the Sans fight?
Oh, I have.
Okay, good.
I've seen that, and somebody linked me to it. I watched it, and I went, nope. That is a test of reflexes I will not partake of.
I downloaded a save file and started there because I refused to do the genocide run. I would not do it to there because I have too much of a... I can't. It hurts too bad. But I wanted to try the Sans fight because it looked fun. I got about halfway through it, and I think that's a testament to how good of a gamer I am. I don't need to beat it. I got halfway through it. That's good.
Humble
for me.
brag. Not so humble brag.
So, again, tangent back to where we were, we start going through the snow area, and depending upon how things go, I tried to do no killing from that point onward. I think I mostly succeeded at it. I don't think I killed anything. But like, so you get through the snow area and like you're dodging Papyrus trying to kill you along the way with various traps and whatnot.
And puzzles. He tries to thwart you with puzzles.
Yes, that are.
And his japes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, like
You were thoroughly japed by the great Papyrus.
Yeah, and then finally, like you get to the town, and then you like. I think somewhere along the way you actually start picking up items for like equipping your character.
Yep.
And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
and it's
you
like
actually pick up the first ones in the ruins. You can pick up the knife and the toy knife
And like the bandage or something.
No, you start with the band. You start with the stick and band-aid equipped. You find the knife and something else in the ruins.
Yeah, I think it's somewhere along the way.
You can miss the knife super easy.
Yeah.
You can miss both of them super easy, actually, because the knife is off to the side right after Toriel's home, and you get the other equipment down a hole, so you might just have missed them the first time.
It's possible, but like, I think it's either in this zone or the next one with Undyne, where you get the skirt that's covered in dust.
That is after Papyrus. That is in Waterfall.
Okay, yeah, so it's after Papyrus, but like, it's like somewhere around there that you like. There's a description of the item when you pick it up, and it still tags it, and you're like,
Yep.
something about this doesn't seem right.
Well, you find the ballerina shoes and tutu in Waterfall, with the tutu going, finally a real piece of armor.
Yeah. Well, it's also a thing of like. So it's for those who again like you're probably familiar, but like monsters, when you kill them, like explode in a shower of dust and like sparkles.
Yep.
And when you find one, I think it's the ballerina's shoes and tutu. It mentions like
They're dusty.
they're pretty dusty.
It's the shoes.
Yeah.
The weapon.
Yeah. And it's like, okay, they're dirty, but like the initial thought is like, oh, there's just because they've been left there for a while. No, they're dirty because some human came through and killed a lot of monsters with it.
Yep.
Which is again like the issue with the writing, or not the issue, but like the writing's trying to convey that like there's been more humans through here before.
There's so much in like I beat Undertale my last playthrough earlier this week for the podcast in 9 hours. I caught things in that playthrough that I didn't catch in the last 5 times we played it. 2 times with other people, once, 4 times we played it. But I caught stuff I never caught any of the times because there's so much in this game that there's always little things like that everywhere.
Yeah, but like so you go through the snow town and then the snow village, and then you finally get to fight Papyrus, and I think this is probably the first real challenge in the game in terms of like
So they had a new game mechanic in with if it turns blue, you don't move.
They had
And it goes through you and stuff.
Yeah.
They had 2 new mechanics. They gave you the dark blue mechanic, which is the weight mechanic, where you can jump and you're on the ground.
Yeah.
But they also add the light blue mechanic, which is the attacks that you have to stand still through.
Yeah. So then it becomes like, and this was when I realized that this is not an RPG. This is just an RPG. This is a bullet hell game with story elements attached to it.
Okay, that's not quite fair.
Okay, but like, so by and large, to make it simple, you can basically break down Undertale into 4 main fights. 4? 5? 4?
I would say 5.
5? Yeah.
Toriel, I would say Toriel, Papyrus,
Undyne,
Metaton, and then the Asgore / the final boss battle.
Yes. And like through all of like, and pretty much everything else you gotta run from or mercy or talk your way out of. And So it's like basically 5 bullet hell stages is what it basically breaks down into being. And when you go into this is when Undertale lost me as like a major fan. Like, I was still gonna go through and beat it because the story had me gripped, interested, but this is where Undertale lost me. Is it was focusing on telling a story, and the mechanism, I say not the mechanism, but the window dressing, it didn't match underneath it didn't match underneath the drapes to put into a very specific sense. I went into this as an RPG thinking like this is going to be some sort of story-driven RPG. No, it's a bullet hell game with story elements attached to it.
I was going to say, once again, I think that's not fair, and I'll say this is an issue for RPGs in general. The RPG game mechanics that we think of from the old days, active time, battle, wait battle, those systems are really, really poor from a gameplay perspective. It's the reason no Final Fantasy since 10 has done a traditional battle system. Every one of them is trying something new. Almost every RPG that isn't a throwback to specifically trying to do a spiritual successor to another game, all of them have different battle systems because what we're used to doesn't really resonate anymore.
Yeah.
And that's like this is just, it's an RPG, but the battle mechanic is a bullet hell. Like, that's like, it's fine if you don't like bullet hells, but like that doesn't make it not an RPG.
Well, I think the reason why it lost me was because I'm decent at bullet hell games. But I have to go into it understanding this is going to be a bullet hell game, so I can prepare for the eventual mentality of losing, restarting, what have you.
This is just a personal question on it, but where did you end?
I just did a quote unquote general playthrough.
Yeah.
Where which I suspect most people probably ended up having occur. Which is basically
the neutral route is by default on your first.
Well, no, you can do the genocide route anytime. You can do a neutral route where you don't kill anyone, but you will not get the pacifist ending. But if you do that, you can reload your save and immediately get the pacifist ending. You just have to get the neutral ending for the story.
Yeah, so for me first, I only beat Undertale once, because once I beat the game once, I then went online and said, oh, there's 2 more endings, which is the pacifist and genocide. And then I thought about, I didn't even read the rest of it, I thought about it like just as a general idea of like, okay, I don't want to subject myself to another 8 or 10 hours of bullet hell stuff, because I would have to, because I killed Toriel to get out of the ruins.
All I was actually trying to lead up for when I asked where you left off, because it sounded like you left off before you finished the game. Apparently, I was wrong. I was just going to say, if you were having issues with the bullet hells parts, or you didn't really want to deal with it, go buy the Temi armor. It makes it makes the entire game easy mode.
Yeah, but again, this is a thing that I think people need to, myself included, need to be willing to accept that, like, the quote-unquote traditional RPG mechanics won't work. I think the reason why I was expecting was just because up to that point in time, you could, generally speaking, do the RPG mechanic of fighting bad guys and then doing the slight little dodges.
I was going to say, I haven't played an RPG, and I'm an RPG guy. I have not played an RPG that has come out in the last 10 years that has used traditional mechanics completely.
Well, I think we're having...
This is a little more extreme than some of the other ones, but I've seen puzzle mechanics, like actual puzzle game mechanics, take over as the combat in an RPG. I've seen a bullet hell take over as the mechanics in an RPG. I've seen Final Fantasy 12 had the basically programming mechanics where you can program if this then this mechanic, like so many different things that they're trying, because they know that what they have doesn't work, so they're all throwing stuff at the board to try to find what does. And that's not going to hit for everybody. Like, this obviously has bullet hell elements that's not going to appeal to some people, and that's totally fine. But that's all. The only thing I was taking offense at, or not really taking offense, but you get what I mean, is saying it's not an RPG because it doesn't have that set battle mechanic when it still uses all this traditional battle mechanics. You still use items, you still fight, you still do other things. It's just that whether you take damage or not is based off dodging.
Yeah.
I suppose it just depends on what your definition of an RPG is. I remember Resident Evil was called an RPG in magazines back when I was in high school, and I remember going, no. But to somebody it was, so shrug. All right.
Yeah.
Whatever.
So you either chalk your way down and either avoid killing or straight up kill Papyrus, and then
I'm going to pause for 1 sec. I'm going to finish the thought that never got finished. So my gut punch, because this would be right where it is. When you do the not the pacifist run, the genocide run, and you kill Papyrus in 1 hit, because if you're going to do the genocide, they're going to make you hurt. His head falls to the ground and he goes, "I still believe in you." Or something to that effect, and I'm like, no, he you're
says,
supposed to hate me.
If I remember correctly, he says, "No matter what happens, I'll always believe in you. You're better than this," and that's how he dies.
But he does it with a smile on his face, and I'm like, look, I'm only doing this because I assume there's a second half to the story that I'm not getting by not doing the, pacifist run. It's more like 15 to 20%, but I did not know that at the time, and I assume later when we sort of talk about some of the what we could say criticisms of the game I can come back to the genocide run in general, but also quick other thing, the other gut punch, because they're both in Snowden. If you do the genocide run and you go into the Rabbit Lady store. And so you go into the store, you can take the money out of the register, and there's a note you can see, where it would say, talk or something. And the note says, and Ronnie will, I don't know if he'll correct me on this, but it basically says, please don't hurt my children, or please don't hurt my family. And I almost cried.
It's please don't hurt my family, you got it.
I was at a convention thing over the summer, and there was a little Undertale meetup with 10 or 12 people, and we were talking about favorite moments. I talked about that one, and I started choking up while I was talking about it. That's how much it affected me. Okay, so we can move on.
Yeah, but I mean, Brian, we've been mostly talking. What have you I assume you've played it and beaten it, so what was your route through the game?
I spared Papyrus. I actually went on a date with him. Because...
yeah! Did you have some of the spaghetti?
I think I did.
How
yes,
was it?
It was indescribable.
It was, because I just thought, alright, fine, I'll go on a date with this, Dudley Do-Right of a skeleton here.
He's a cool dude. Read his sweet
I know
tea.
he's a cool dude. But that whole date thing, there's the tension meter, and
he read a book.
I'm like, is it
Chapter
possible for
I gotta put on a perfume or cologne?
Is it
the dog radar?
Is it possible for a skeleton to get a boner? But it's and
just ask the Undertale fan community; they'll tell you.
Oh God! Please, can we not talk about that for this half at least?
We're gonna rule 34 everything, but he's just.
Oh, and it is out there.
He's just. I'm like, fine. I'll go on a date with him, and through my playthrough of Undertale, I kind of just sort of did a mix of, killing and sparing just whenever. It was I didn't have any set pattern. It was just I haven't killed anything in a while. Poke.
You monster.
Yeah, that's as the game progressed, that was one of my dings against Undertale as well was the whole bullet hell as dodging mechanic. That was just as a design choice that didn't really appeal to me. You know.
Well, that's fair for both of you guys. Like,
Yeah.
it's not going to appeal to everybody. Like, I've played the Toho games, and so for me, this is like this was, oh, it's a bullet hell, but it's relatively easy. This is nice.
Yeah, like it's a bullet hell in the sense of like you have a sprite that you need to dodge around the harmful sprites.
The things that screwed me up were like the Undyne fight, where yes, it's still bullet helly, but it's not traditional bullet hell where you're dodging, where you have to try to block stuff. Like that screwed us up. I remember.
Like,
right,
I could
Dejah?
never get the hang
It took me a while to get the mechanic for it.
Like, I could never, even when I beat the neutral route, I could never remember the whole light blue, you need to stay still, and
orange, you need to move.
Yeah, I could never fully grasp that. So I'm just like, because my
you
brain
need to
was
learn
just-
your colors, Brian.
she says to the art major.
Well, okay, so actually,
You work in black and white
okay,
photography.
okay. To be fair, I actually think this is an important thing to be brought up. The colors matter in the game for multiple reasons, not just for mechanical purposes, but also for what actually ends up happening at the very end with the final boss.
Mm-hmm.
And
yes.
I think those colors were chosen for those specific reasons.
They were.
One thing I was going to say is, I know the colors that they chose for the attacks and for the children's hearts, which, spoilers, what all this ties to. I know they were chosen specifically because they were going to be the easiest ones for colorblind people to tell the difference for.
They're good design choice.
Yeah,
That's
but like the two blues, one is the blue attack, but the other blue is when they turn you blue. They kept them separate so there weren't two different types of blue attacks, so that there was no way for people to screw that up.
Yeah.
Like, they chose ones that were easily differentiated.
But yeah, it's just I could never fully grasp that. I knew what what the light blue and the orange, I knew what that was for, but the entire time, any battle that had those in it, my brain would just be like, no, this is bullet hell, you're supposed to dodge everything. Just none of this whole, no, when this is this, stay still, when this is this, move. No, for me it was just, no, dodge everything.
So the reflex is just, oh, I can't touch this. Stay away from the friendliness pellets.
Can't touch this.
Yeah.
So, So, I did date Papyrus. We hit it off. We were good. We were bros. And,
Second date.
got the phone number, and, because, cell phones apparently exist. I don't know what carrier the world of Undertale had, but
And they have service underground?
Yeah, Cricket Wireless, I don't know.
Yeah. But, so, you finish up the snow area, then you go to Waterfall, and then you meet Sans again. Then there's some more dialogue that's, again, heavy overtones and like, shading of various, are you doing good or are you doing bad?
That's the first time you find out that Flowey had been talking to Papyrus. Sans thinks he's being pranked by, or at least says he thinks that somebody's pranking Papyrus with an echo flower, but as soon as you hear about a talking flower, if you're like me, you go, fuck you, Flowey! No, you stay away from Papyrus! Papyrus is a perfect cinnamon roll, and you cannot touch him! Stay away! Yes.
Also, speaking of the echo flowers, around that area...
Oh, those are creepy.
When we were first playing, I remember we're trucking along, down the area, and then I swore out of the corner of my eye I saw Flowey, and I look up, and then he's not there, and I'm like, am I going crazy now? Or is he following me?
He is.
No, I learned that after, but that was an awesome kind of sensation of feeling like, did I just see that? I don't know. Like, I felt like there's some creepy asshole following me. It was cool.
Yeah. Like that, it's tiny touches like that.
Yeah.
It was, and and again, even though you get this area, I think there's a place in the Waterfall area called the Wishing Room where there's a bunch of echo flowers, and you check each one, and it's just okay, we're bordering on the surreal here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
And also, mention of this, all the while you're being hunted by Undyne at this point.
yes,
It's so cool.
Yeah, you are, which the game has been hinting toward at this point. I remember specifically, though, while that's going on, I remember you get since I dated Papyrus and, we're cool, I remember I got a phone call from him, and he was asking me what I was wearing.
Yep.
And
Undyne wants to know.
yeah, but the first thing I thought was, yeah, what are you wearing, Jake from State Farm? And
Yeah.
because
So,
that stupid commercial getting in my head. But yes,
But Undyne's actively hunting you, and through various means of subterfuge and stealth, you hide from her for pretty much the entire level until you get to the very, very end of it.
She catches you once before the end, because she catches you on the bridge. She cuts the bridge off, and you fall into the garbage heap.
Yeah, that's right. Where there's another.
There's the angry dummy.
Yes, and we forgot about the angry dummy battle. That makes it 6 major battles.
Mhm.
Where the angrier he gets, the more his body parts flail around.
I don't think I fought that
the
one.
mad
That might be
dummy.
optional.
Yeah.
No, it is not optional. You have to fight him.
I don't remember fighting him.
I do.
Yeah, he is immune to physical attacks because he's a ghost. He's actually part of the Bluke family. You don't find that out immediately, but when he summons dummies that shoot magical attacks at you, and what you have to do is stay near the dummy, so when they shoot the attacks at you, you dodge and they hit the dummy.
And then he's like, "Oh, you dummies!"
Yes, he gets very angry at his dummies.
Okay, either I don't remember fighting it, or it was just so inconsequential that I just
I thought it was a fun fight. That's why I remembered it.
maybe I beat it without realizing that it was actually a boss battle, because I thought maybe it was just super easy for me. I don't remember, but so you get through that, and then you get to fight Undyne, and then
Sidebar. In the genocide one, he gets so pissed at you that he transcends himself and becomes real, and he's then at peace, and then you murder him because you're a monster.
Okay.
Moving on.
Okay. One last thing before we go to the Undyne battle. This is also where you find Napstablook's Bluke's house and get to talk to him again, and get to lay down and feel like garbage.
Which apparently feeling like garbage means that you totally
transcend all
get to
of
see the galaxy, man.
And the other house that's locked that becomes relevant later.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you get to the Undyne fight, and I remember this being difficult, but I don't remember why.
But Monster Kid.
Yes, we skipped over Monster Kid. Would you like to talk about Monster Kid, Brian?
Oh, you talk about perfect cinnamon rolls. This curious Monster Kid is just looking, meets up with you and he questions you, asks if you're a human, and then he asks you to say something mean to him so he can hate you.
Yes. And then he trips and falls, and you have to save him, and that's part of what makes Undyne start to question what she's doing.
Yes. It's like that's an important moment there.
The one thing I like about Monster Kid, this has nothing to do with his character or anything. Actually, he can be kind of a little shit sometimes. But I love his character animation when he falls down. And when he gets back up, where his face, like, peels off and then there's, like, a snap back. Because he doesn't have arms, so I don't really know how he's getting up anyway. But, I don't know, every time he trips and falls and gets back up, I'm just, like, I could watch that little animation all the time.
This battle with Undyne, whatever. When you get into this battle, and I remember that you're introduced to yet another mechanic. Your soul is green, and you can't move.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, fuck!
I'm just learning the mechanics and you're taking them away from me.
You stupid!
Yeah.
And it's like it's like you get you get an item. I think you get like a spear so you could block the attacks.
It's like DDR.
Yeah, that's what it was. Like this was a fight where it's
the
like
DDR fight.
yeah, it becomes DDR eventually at the end, where it's like just straight up just like
down, left, right.
Yeah, just deflecting arrows to not have them hit you, and then I think if you're genociding her, you gotta hit the arrows back into her, and if you're pacifist, you gotta deflect them and not have them hit her at all.
In the genocide one, I know you get some ones where, like, the reverse ones, and they'll be coming in from, like, the left, and then suddenly flip, or, no, the arrows, they'll be, like, a different color, and they'll, oh, it does? Well, it happens more in the genocide.
You get way more of them in the genocide run, but you get both of them.
I think in the pacifist run with Undyne, I think I only survived because we just kept using items, and then eventually I realized, oh, I'm supposed to be running away from her ass.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh, I guess I have to fight her. Let me mercy her.
She does not want mercy.
And then Papyrus calls you in the middle of all of this, saying that, hey, you should hang out with Undyne. Yeah. Like, thank you!
I am!
A little busy right now.
We're doing
You want to come hang out with us right now?
Yeah, but like, so you beat Undyne in some varying degrees, whether it's running away and like convincing her that you're not a horrible person, or you straight up murder her, and then you move on to.
Well, she gets defeated by crap. What's the name of the hot area? Lava Town? I don't know.
Yeah.
Hotland.
There you go. It's just too hot for her fishy body.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get to choose to give her water or not.
Yes.
Yes.
Or grill her with some lemon.
So you go through Lava Town, then eventually it becomes the laboratory area.
Where you meet Alphys.
Yes.
But before we do that, however,
you want to take a break?
Don't you go through Temmie Village? Isn't that?
Yes. Temmie Village is entirely optional and is currently in Waterfall pretty much right before the Undyne fight.
Gotta go send Tem to Kuleg.
Yes. I happened upon Temmie Village by accident.
Mm-hmm.
That's the best way to get to Temmie Village.
Like, I'm just exploring, and suddenly, what's with the lit mushrooms?
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, what? It was like the game was just like, we're going to take a break from this action-packed boss fight that you just had, or about to have.
And we're gonna have these weird, are they dogs? Are they
dog cats?
People? I don't really know. And why are they all named Temmie? And what's up with this one named Bob? I don't trust Bob. Why is there one at the wall staring at me?
I think I was made, like, slightly uncomfortable by all of the Temmies.
I suppose before we go any farther with Temmie Village, I'll have to say, the rest you probably know, but I don't know for the viewers, the Temmies are actually an avatar of Temmie Chang, I believe her name is, but who was the main artist on Undertale other than Toby Fox. She didn't do, she did the little opening animations and a couple other things, but she's one of the only people to work on the game other than Toby. And she got a town for it.
Well, there you go. And I think this is where you get the Temmie armor as well, if you have the
if you send Temmie to Kuleg, you can buy the Temmie armor, and the price goes down for every death you have up to 25 deaths, which lowers it the maximum amount.
Right. So,
which we
did. The greatest thing ever.
Yes.
Is after you send. Wait, hold on. Is after you send Temmie to Kuleg, and her face or her body leaves while her face stays there, and she comes back with a graduation cap. If you then try to negotiate price on some dog residue or something, if you say no both times, Suddenly she stops with the weird dialect and goes, "Are you having a laugh? What, do you think this is a joke? I'm the one with a college degree."
Yes.
And now so do I, fucker.
Yeah, where Temmie suddenly becomes articulate.
Yes. And the names of the items in this game, like dog residue, is just like, oh, here, like,
Wait,
oh.
did you look at the description for dog residue?
I did not. I just.
Okay. I'm going to read this to you right now. It is important. One second.
Then we will cut to break.
Here are the different dog residue ones. There's 7. Shiny trail left by a dog. Dog-shaped husk shed from a dog's carapace. Dirty dishes left by an unwashed dog. Glowing crystals secreted by a dog. Jigsaw puzzle left unfinished by a dog, or web spun by a dog to ensnare prey. Those are the descriptions you can get for dog residue.
I forgot. They have no fucking idea how the surface world works. They have no idea that
that's not a
dog. Like I think only one of them is actually dog related. Everything else is either monster or like that isn't real or is not the dog.
Well, you have monster dogs, like you have lesser dog, greater dog, the watchdog. I forget what his name is. But yeah, annoying dog. Yeah, Dogaressa and Dogamy. But annoying dog probably isn't a dog.
Yeah, there's some.
Which is where you get dog residue from, is annoying dog.
Yeah, there's some weird things
weird
in
shit.
That game. Yeah.
So, yeah. So we will cut to break here, and we will descend into Hotland. The characters of Alphys and our favorite our favorite showman robot.
Oh yes.
Yes, Metaton. And the rest of the game on the second half. So meanwhile, go get some determination. You'll need it. And you'll have some music. You are listening to the Season 8 premiere of Downloadable Content. We're all talking Undertale. We'll be back. We are back. Welcome back to our Undertale chat here at the start of Season 8 of Downloadable Content. We're all still here. While we were on break, I went down to the local florist and burned it down.
As you should.
Because, just bad memories now associated with flowers. It's like everything... Ah! You're not my best friend. Go away. So, we left off right at the Temi village and getting into Hotland and the introduction of the character Alphys, who I always want to correct in my brain as Alfie, the play school toy, but...
Oh, I think I had an Alphys. Is
So,
a robot? I don't know.
we get the lab... We get the lab and also her robot of Metaton, which is programmed to destroy humans. But Jesus Christ, it's a show.
Through cooking shows and news reports.
You're going to be Julia Childed to death, and
Her robot, in air quotes.
yes.
Well, he's sure is a robot body.
Yeah, I was gonna say, he sure is a robot-ish.
Like, that final battle with Metaton when he becomes, like, anime heartthrob.
Oh, yes,
A sweet
Metaton
dance
EX.
move?
Yeah, Metaton EX, I will actually, honestly, this was true. I legitimately thought of Dejah when I got to this battle.
What? Why?
Because this looks like a character that would be right up your alley.
Okay, Brian, I know you have not seen this. I'm going to be sending you a link after this podcast.
Oh, the little animation thing.
Yes.
Oh, it's so
one of the fans
good.
did an animation for Frisk fighting Metaton. You need to see this.
And I love the song. I love the music for that fight. Like, I could totally jam to that.
Like, Metaton, like, I see this, the Metaton EX battle, like, anime heartthrob over here.
For shonen.
Yeah, and I just, it had an air of you all over it, so it was just...
Well, and this might be something to get into later, but after going through a bunch of the, game secrets and stuff, I can totally get behind Metaton, particularly after getting sort of this human kind of body, because
Okay.
kind of like the rep of a trans character. It's
Yeah, I was gonna say before I go into this, did either of you two go into Metaton's house and get that whole part of the story?
I don't think I did.
Okay. Braddy and Caddy are two characters outside of the MTT resort, and you can buy.
them. Yes.
Yep. And
Yes.
you can buy a key from them. It's the most expensive item they have. If you take that key and backtrack all the way back to Napstablook's house in Waterfall, there's a second house next to it that's locked. You open it, it is the house for Metaton's cousin, who is Metaton. You get to read...
Napstablook's cousin?
Yeah, Napstablook's cousin.
You said Metaton's cousin, Metaton.
Oh, yeah, no, Napstablook's cousin, Metaton. And you get to read the story of it through the diaries.
Her diary.
Yeah, of she was a ghost who was unhappy with her form, with her physical form, and she meets
wanted
Alphys.
to be a star and all of this stuff.
Yeah, and she meets Alphys, who gives her a body, but through doing so, she abandoned her cousin and feels bad about it. And that's why later on there's a scene or two, like Napstablook is the one who calls into Metaton's show at the end, and Metaton gets kind of emotional. And if you don't do this, you don't quite realize why. But there's a lot of like trans issues dealt with in there of like there isn't a body for me, I'm not comfortable in this, and then being given this body that more represents.
And like it's stuff that you don't have to necessarily get to, but for somebody like me and Ronnie who's like, oh, I love this, I need to find out everything about it. It's nice to
there's
see
actually
stuff.
4 people in Napstablook's family. You have Napstablook, Metaton, and then the 2 dummies. The dummy you face, and then the dummy in the ruins.
Oh yeah, the one that you just like beat up and doesn't have a voice.
Yes.
And I think the angry one's like pissed off because you attacked my cousin or something.
Yes, exactly. Those are all actually Luke's cousins. He's the only one who stayed at the farm.
I forget what my final ratings were for that Metaton EX battle.
It took us a while to realize you have to get the ratings up to win.
You have to. You can get higher, but you have to hit 10,000 to win.
Yes. And yeah, that whole like bit of that sort of like death scene almost was like, oh,
yes,
that's like sad. But also, I mean, Alphys is where a lot of the plot is centered around, especially if you play the game additional times.
Yes, through the pacifist run, but we're not there yet.
No, we're not. We're still in the neutral route. So you leave Alphys, and you take this elevator and you enter New Home.
Mm-hmm.
And
which has very pleasant music, and you start getting you start getting the core of the story through all of the monsters that you didn't kill throughout the game.
Yep.
And man, New Home looks a lot like the beginning of the game.
It looks a lot like ruins.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, hey, wait a minute.
Now, this is something that we didn't get because our first run was pacifist. But for you guys who actually killed people in your runs, did you notice? I'm being serious. Did you guys notice that you missed tiny pieces of the story because each monster you killed, they wouldn't show up in that part to give you a story?
Yeah, I did notice that.
Because the screen would still pop up, but there's no one on it, or there's one less person on it.
Yep.
I don't think I did, but I wasn't. Again, this was. I don't remember killing many things to begin with, and then once I did accidentally kill Toriel, I then just said nope to everything else and just pieced out of killing anything else as much as I could.
Yeah.
So here's a question, Ronnie, you might know. If, like, for example, with what Ron's saying, like, for example, there's a couple froggets, or whatever they were called, right? If you were to kill one but spare another, does it count it as you spared it so it would be there to talk? There's
a certain number, like, in that ending scene, I think there's 4 froggets who give you pieces of the story. Each frogget you kill in the game lowers that count by 1.
Okay.
So there's a couple monsters that there's only one of in that ending scene, so if you kill one of them, you lose them in that ending. Either way, every time you kill something that isn't a duplicate monster, you're losing at least one little piece of the story.
And, it's the game has been, up to this point, leading me, it's telling me about, it's making you think that the character of Asgore is just this horrible
monster.
Yeah. Like, it's building up to...
And every time they say his name, it's in red text.
Yep. And it's just like, oh shit. But it's coming. And
you get there, and it's just Goat Dad.
Yeah,
I was going to say, for the whole thing, I'm thinking, Flowey sucks. He's horrible. But this Asgore asshole, his name's in red. I don't even want to know what he's like.
Yep, and, while you're in New Home, you're getting bits of the story. You're learning about another human that had been there before you.
Mm-hmm. Several humans that have been here before you, but one specifically.
Yes.
Because there's 7 before you.
Because you're also made known that you have to get through this barrier to get back to the surface world.
And Asgore's the you need a monster heart to get through it, I think, right?
You need a monster heart, but monster hearts disappear immediately upon death, except for boss monsters. Which means to get through there, you need either Toriel's heart or Asgore's heart, because they're the only 2 that last long enough that you could take them after their death.
So, you're getting bits of this. So, you get the story about the fallen human, and then
you realize that sepia-toned little story at the beginning of the game wasn't actually you.
Right.
It was the previous fallen human.
So you go through your home, and then suddenly you're in this sort of stained glass-looking cathedral place where
The Hall of Judgment.
Basically. And here we get one of the biggest plot reveals in the game, if not the biggest. At least if this is your first playthrough, where you find out what LV, which you think is level, and EXP, which you think are experience points.
Instead, it is level of violence and execution points.
Yeah.
Where you find out that all this killing that you've been doing, if you've been killing, wrong, sir, wrong.
Also, this is the point, since we're talking about experience and level, you'll notice that you're not the one gaining levels. The name you gave is, which would be Kara, the first fallen human. We'll talk more about in the genocide run, but they're the one gaining levels, not you.
He's also where we meet Sans for the last time, and then that, depending upon which route you're on, you get either the final talk with him, or you get the Sans fight, which we'll get into more detail with later.
Yeah. Normally he just waggles his finger at you and goes, "You killed some people, but, I'm gonna let you through here because you didn't kill everyone. You're okay. But you killed my brother. You're a dirty brother killer. Get out of my face."
Yeah. I believe the wording is like, you made some mistakes along the way, but you generally were a good person. So I'll let you live.
Yes. Or if you've done the pacifist up until now, you get you tried to do the right thing. That doesn't mean you were naive, and it doesn't mean that you didn't understand what was going on, but you kept a level of kindness in your heart.
So after thou art judged, you get past him, and I first, before I went into the battle with Asgore, I noticed that there was a room that had some coffins, and then each one that had a different colored heart on it. I went, aha!
Yes. And the red one is empty.
The fog starts clearing. I start understanding things.
Also, here's a tiny little point, just because I know it won't come up later. If you do the pacifist run, and you complete the final boss, and you go down there, all of the coffins are open and empty. Why are they? There's theories. Nobody's quite sure, but all the coffins are open after the pacifist ending.
And then you enter the throne room at last, and here you have Asgore. Asgore.
That's a very different character, Brian.
That's a very different character.
That's also probably Rule 34.
Asgore, he's tending the garden, and he's sort of he's talking to you, and you start getting the feeling that, this sort of demeanor I've experienced before. And he is very sort of reluctant to fight you. But you do.
Yeah.
Yep. And he shatters your mercy button into a billion pieces.
Yes.
That scene, I freaked out when that happened. I thought that was the coolest thing ever.
Badass. First he's offering me a cup of tea, then he's fucking with my mercy button. Damn, Asgore, you're pretty cool.
And when you get the mercy button back later, it's pieced together. It is still, it still shows where it shattered. And I thought that was the best effect.
Yeah. And memory serves, so he shatters it, you then actually get straight up fight him, which is an actual, boss fight, but the entire time, you can still, do the talking to him.
Yes, but it doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
It lowers his defense and attack, but it doesn't actually, stop the fight.
Yeah.
You can also eat the butts pie. If you eat the Butts pie from the beginning of the game, Toriel's pie, it lowers his attack and defense to its lowest value. Because he smells it, and he feels really, really bad.
And so you have to fight him. You defeat him, and he will tell you that he doesn't actually want to fight you, and he's actually offering you his soul so you could cross the barrier and get back to the surface world.
And then
this is where the first and I think this is when the actual mercy button shows up.
Yep. And you can either fight to kill him or you can give him mercy. And of course, we all know that once you give him mercy, he takes you in and you live with him and Goat Mom for the rest of your days. Very peacefully. That's exactly what happens. Or not. Flowey shows up and murders Asgore because now he can.
Because he's weak enough to be murdered.
Yep. Because you find out in several neutral runs that the whole reason that you're able to do all of this was Flowey's never been able to kill Asgore. Otherwise, he would have gone long before you showed up. No matter how many runs he does, no matter what he does, Flowey cannot kill Asgore. He needed you.
And so he steals all the souls, and then this is where I thought my computer was going crazy. Because the game just crashed. And
just straight up hard crashes in Windows mode.
It just closes. The game just closes. And I'm just like, alright.
I'm pretty sure I screamed at the computer again.
The game closed, and I'm like, all right. I check everything, make sure it's computer's fine. All right, reload the game. And
my initial thought when the game crashed was like, oh, it crashed during the cutscene. Well, this is still in like day one release or whatever, so I'll give it a benefit of the doubt. And I loaded like, oh, you piece of shit.
Yeah, and you're greeted by the sepia toned picture of Mike Wazowski.
Oh.
Badly photoshopped in.
I see the game loads up, and then immediately, the intro's corrupted, and I see that your save file's deleted. I'm like, whoa!
Well, it's not even save file deleted. I think it's like it says
it's
save file.
Is
it corrupted or deleted? I can't remember.
I believe it says the save file's name is now Flowey.
Yeah, and it's like level 99, and you get like a bunch of money and shit, and it's just like, what?
Yeah, the deleted save file comes next.
Yeah.
After you load it, and you go to face him.
And so now, Flowey destroys the file, and then he just goes on this long screed about how much you're an idiot.
Yes.
You're a moron. And to me, it's right around here that I realized what was going on with the game in terms of like what determination was meant to be.
Mm-hmm.
And then I began playing the anime Gurren Lagann theme song in my head as I'm just like, no, fuck this, fuck this. I know how this works.
Undertale, just a vaguely done game about spiral energy.
Yes, just straight up. Fuck everything, I'm going to be a badass, and fuck you, I'll break reality to do it.
And then, so after he gets done calling you an idiot and, just gloats, he then becomes this wonderful creation of Photoshop.
Wait, we haven't actually mentioned this with Asgore or Flowey. He becomes a god because Asgore already had 6 human children's hearts. And you were going to be the 7th one to break the seal. We didn't mention this yet.
Well, it was mentioned that like the barrier is a strong barrier that's meant to keep humans out.
It took 7 human mages to create the barrier after the war between the humans and monsters, and it will take the power of 7 human hearts or their equivalent to shatter the barrier.
Yes.
And they have 6.
And then an equivalent human heart is like pretty much the entire monster populace.
Yeah, it would take all of the monsters that are alive currently to equal 1 human heart. But they have 6, and you kill Asgore, and then Flowey takes all 6 of them and basically becomes a god. But he needs 7 of them to be able to escape the underground. And hey, look! You have a human heart. This is gonna end well.
God. So the Photoshop Flowey fight begins, and every single time you dodge it,
it is beautiful.
Yeah,
It's okay. Wait. Flowey. We'll talk about it more in the past, but Flowey's basically a child. So it's better looking at Photoshop Flowey and going, this is what like a 10-year-old would have made.
Yeah.
This is what they think would have been badass.
Yes. So like
it's gonna have vines coming out.
It's gonna have flamethrowers,
funky eyes, and pinch your mouth.
It's
and don't forget the 70s TV complete with the snow effect.
Yes. And the meme faces. It does frickin' troll.
Yeah. So, like, you go through the fight, and, like, as you're trying to dodge shots, he just, like, glitches the game into making sure you hit them all. And your HP's getting lower, and it gets to 1. And then he tries glitching you into the things again, and it stays at 1. And it stays at 1. And it stays at 1. And your determination is growing.
We hadn't actually talked about, the thing that I thought was the most hilarious part of the fight is him frickin' save-scumming the fight.
Yeah, he's save-scumming the fight the entire time, too. It's basically what's going on. He save-scums the fight into...
So whenever you do anything right, he reloads the save where you didn't.
Yeah.
Yep. But this is probably the most frustrating part of the game for me at this point, because before that happens, you can die. But every time you die, he gloats and the game closes.
Yes. Well, there's good and bad things here. One, when you die in the Photoshop Flowey fight, it saves where you are at. You start from whichever one of the human hearts that you last beat. So each time one of the hearts helps you, you start at the beginning of that stage of the fight.
Right.
Even though it looks like you do not. It looks like you start at the very beginning, but if you pay attention, once you've completed one heart, that one never shows up again.
Yeah.
You actually progress through the fight every time you die.
Mm-hmm.
It took me 4 deaths the last time I played it.
I think I actually soloed once. I might have soloed Photoshop Flowey, honestly. Once the fight actually began, and you
well,
you get a full heal. I think you get a full heal by one of the hearts.
Yeah, no. Here's what happens throughout the fight. Timed throughout the fight, the human hearts will start to rebel and start helping you. When you go into each one of the hearts things, you have to survive for a couple minutes and a couple seconds until the act button shows up. And then once that shows up, a bunch of healing items show up for about 5 to 10 seconds. You can easily heal to full in each one of them.
So that might be what it was, because I think the whole thing was like you go to 1 HP, and then he hits you, but then you don't die, and like your determination increases.
That's the very end of the fight.
Yeah.
Earlier in the fight, you can and will die, but I will tell you, just from looking at it, you get more hits than you should. Like, the game isn't following its own mechanics.
Yeah,
like
it's purposely breaking the rules and just becoming it's embracing the meta of the game and just being like it's no longer Flint versus Flowey, it's now the player versus Flowey.
Yeah, exactly. Which the player as a character is a thing in the game, which we'll talk about later.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that fight between all the saving and loading and all the hearts deciding, like, you win not because you're better than Flowey, not even because of your determination. That's what's keeping you alive. The only reason you win is because the human hearts decide to rebel against Flowey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, I'm going through this for the first time, going, how the fuck do I land a hit on this? It's just because you can't. You are constantly dodging a screen full of projectiles. Meanwhile, I'm like, thank God I've played Ikaruga. Let's see if I can navigate my way. Like, thank God I played Ikaruga and Gunstar Heroes. This is like, for this battle, it was just playing those two games were just a slight prep. Because
it kind of reminds me of the Toriel fight in that once you realize that every hit doesn't mean as much as you think it does, it gets way easier. Because like with the Toriel fight, you know, okay, I can't die because she'll stop hitting me. With the Photoshop Flowey fight, each hit does more damage the fuller your life is. The lower you go in health, the less damage each individual hit does. So when you're getting down to your last couple hits, you actually have way more hits than it looks like. Like, I would just go for the fight button every time it pops up, regardless of getting hit, just because
this is before you get the fight button. This is I was just so pissed off because I think I went like 7, 8, 9 deaths before I could get through, because this was, to me, probably the most annoying part of the game, was because every time you die, the game closes, as I said. And it's just like, I have to reload the fucking game. And, you know, starting from where you last left off. But finally, you get all 6 hearts, and then Flowey realizes this, because suddenly his defense is 0.
Wait, what?
Well, no, first I think he...
First you get him to 0 hit.
First he heals himself, and then he's like, troll face.
Yeah, first you get him to, like, 0 hit points, and he goes, what? This is impossible! This can't be happening! No!
Yeah, and then he's like, you're so stupid.
Yeah, and then he loads a save state and he has full health.
Yep.
Yeah.
But then finally, you know, you do finally get to hit him.
Which, by the way, if you notice, that save state he loads where he's full health, that is the first save state you watch him do at the very beginning of the battle. It's actually consistent. They actually put it in.
Yeah. But he tries to, you get him down to 0 again, and he tries to restore his health again.
Mm-hmm.
But
and nothing works.
But the human souls are like, not this time, jackass. So finally, after all of this, and, you know, and the music is so great in this battle, too, especially after you get the souls, and it gets louder and louder as you keep wailing more and more hits on him. And it suddenly feels very gratifying. And finally, after it's all said and done, the souls have reduced him back to his basic flower form. He is completely defeated. The game presents you with the option, kill him or spare him. You can bet your ass which one I chose.
You killed him?
And took positive relish in doing so. I think I was actually cackling maniacally as I hit the fight button.
As much as I wanted to, I think I hit Mercy.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't. I'm just like, no.
And you have...
Nope.
And since you didn't do this, Brian, you have to keep hitting Mercy. You have to hit Mercy like 10, 12 times. Because every time you hit Mercy, you'll get a different piece of dialogue from him going, wait, what are you doing? Why are you doing that?
Yeah.
You know, if you don't kill me,
I'm going to come back.
I'm going to come back. I'll kill you. I'll kill everyone you care about. What?
Yeah.
Why are you doing this? And it ends with him fleeing. He runs from the battle.
Yeah, no, I killed him. No. And then he gives you that bit of creepy dialogue as you're about to lay the last blow, and he says, "I knew you had it in you." That's like the last pot shot that you get. Like,
when you kill him and this just because I watched, when you kill him in the genocide version, that's probably another gut punch actually, because.
But you don't get the choice.
Oh yeah, that's right. No, he comes to you and he's like, "Hey, buddy, yeah, we totally did." Hey, he's just, I don't know, he's just so pathetic at that point.
Yeah, we'll talk.
Kind of watching his,
Yeah,
And
we'll
then
talk about that in the genocide
And then
run.
then you get and obviously you beat him and you get neutral ending, which is kind of a sort of ending.
Well, it's not meant to be an ending. It's more of a mid-season finale.
Yeah, it's meant to be, okay, now you know how this game works and what's actually going on. Now go back and start doing whatever you
Brian,
want.
if you didn't kill Flowey, he shows up at the end of that ending and tells you what you need to do to get the pacifist ending.
Yeah.
If you don't kill him, he goes, depending on what you do, if you killed stuff, he'll tell you, if you want to get it... First he goes, that was kind of disappointing, wasn't it? You helped all these people, you got attached to them, but you made their lives worse. They're going to be stuck down here forever, and all of them are in worse shape than when you first came. Wow! Wouldn't it have felt so much better if you just didn't care? Doesn't caring hurt?
Yeah.
Well, if you want to make their lives better, I can help. I can give you that ending you really, really want.
God, fuck, damn, they really go fucking dark as shit with that goddamn genocide ending, don't they?
Oh, what, are you looking it up?
No, I didn't. Okay, so again, I didn't know the like little hints of being like, oh, here's like if you want to try and do pacifist, and here's the hint if you want to do genocide, and like that's basically just the straight up genocide thing. It's like, so yeah, if you want to just make their life simple, just fucking kill everything.
Yep.
And
yeah.
And then pacifist is like which is the one that I got because I got mercy and I let him go, and he shows up at the end and is like, so you want to try that again and maybe be a nice guy?
Yeah. If you want to get the good ending, how about you try not killing anything? Or if you haven't killed anything, then he will go, why don't you try reloading and go help that scientist? She might know something that'll help you with that ending, leading to the true lab we're getting to. But the last part is, if you started a genocide route but aborted it, you didn't follow it through to the end, he will basically taunt you for not having the guts to finish what you started.
Again, really good dialogue. Makes you really hate this son of a bitch.
But he's so adorable later.
So
no, fuck off. I don't care that you're goat spawn.
You're Azrael. He's the most adorable little guy.
So at this point, I was just like, I decided at this point I was not impressed enough to continue.
I agreed.
Playing the rest of the game. As I mentioned, the bullet hell thing was a design choice I really didn't like. Also, just for me, and again, personal preference, I don't really... The idea of having to play a video game multiple times in order to get a quote-unquote true ending, it feels forced.
Well, you only have to play it once if you don't kill anything. You don't even have to replay it. You get the neutral ending. You reload. It tells you to reload your save, and you immediately can do the end of the pacifist.
Here's the problem with that and this is why I didn't go back and play it. People going into this game blind don't have that notion. There is no sort of hint that says try and not kill anything, because people going in blind are still treating this as a normal RPG.
Well, there's
it's really only.
Sorry, no, go ahead. You go. I'm interrupting you.
I'll say, it's really only after tutorial that you realize, no, killing things in this game is actually a bad thing. You need to, not kill.
There's two.
Sorry. But to finish my point is there's still that issue of you're not going to get that option of reloading and getting the pacifist ending because you killed Toriel. Generally, in my mind, people realize that killing things in this game is a bad idea when you defeat Toriel.
Okay. Two things. There are two froggets in the ruins. The first one, before you get any battles, tells you that you should give mercy. And then a couple rooms over, you find the room with 4 froggets, and they explain, okay, if you do these actions and you talk to these people, you don't have to kill anyone. So you have both of those. And yes, you might have killed someone before you got to the second frogget, but there's no save points in between there. At that point, you can still reload, and that still qualifies you for pacifist, because Flowey might remember, but that does not matter for the pacifist ending.
Yeah, but again, it's a thing that like people would have to be aware of going into it, I feel. I don't think in my mind, I don't think the average gamer would go in blind to Undertale and hear, like, showing mercy to a monster and go, oh, why would I do that? It's a monster. They're evil. Like, I don't think they would go in with that realization until after tutorial, really.
I mean, that was for me personally when it dawned on me that you don't have to kill a single thing in this game, and by that point, if you were trying for a pacifist ending, it's too late.
Well, you can, like I said, you can always reload, but yes, if you save before the tutorial battle and you killed other monsters before that, yes, you're cut out of the ending. Because it's not just the big people. You have to have gained no experience to get the pacifist ending.
And that's just it. So now, and because of the design choices made in this game, where the game's data remembers every single thing that you do, this isn't like every other video game where you can just delete your file and start again.
Well,
no,
okay,
you have to dig into the annals of your computer.
Okay. There's a point with this, though. It does not matter that Flowey remembers. If you kill Goat Mom and then you reload the save and don't kill her, you still get a pacifist ending. Now, Flowey will still go, I remember what you did, but that does not affect the ending at all. If you kill something by mistake and you reload the save, you are fine. You can still get the pacifist ending.
Yeah, but it's like if you save after the tutorial battle, for example.
And that does happen.
Yes, it does. So
but
you can never get the pacifist ending unless you completely obliterate all traces of the game from your computer.
But the other point I'll make on that is, like, and notice, your opinion is completely justified. I'm not arguing the opinion. I'm just going, right. I don't know if that's quite fair that, like, judging the game on that, where it's a very short game. Like, I do everything when I play it, and I beat it in 9 hours. I know people who beat it in 6 hours or 5 hours their first playthrough.
But it's still a thing of, like, this is the whole, like, time management thing, and sometimes people don't have the time to devote to the game for a second playthrough or a third playthrough, especially when, and like this is to me is the multiple playthrough thing is a thing where it is both a strength and a weakness of the game. The strength is more so is that it lets you relive certain moments.
Well, it also like there's so much to find and so many things you can do differently. Where each playthrough is not necessarily the same.
I know, but the weakness is that generally speaking, I would imagine probably 90 to 95% of people going through the game blind will get neutral ending.
Yep.
And I would suspect that by and large, the raw emotional feelings you get of by going through it and then eventually the Photoshop Flowey fight is like just the emotion behind that. There's no way you will be able to replicate that feeling and then at all. And I think that trying to encourage you to do a replay to find out like the true ending of the game is not.
Well, I mean, there's a whole nother final boss battle, and like it's not like it's just a little thing.
I know, but like again, it's a thing of like this is a thing where I don't really think of that. Trying to do a second ending to try having basically not requiring, but again, odds are being that people will probably have to play through this game twice to get the true ending is a thing. It is hard to request a player to do after the emotional successes and the emotions felt during the Photoshop Flowey fight.
Okay, I'll bring a couple things up here. One, this is an RPG. Let's be honest here between you, me, and Brian, and Dejah. How much time do you typically put aside to play an RPG? I understand we don't all have 40 to 60 hours like with the old school RPGs, but I bet most of the time you expect to spend more than 5 hours on an RPG.
Yeah, but okay, the reason why I mentioned the time thing is because of how fast you went through this game. Is it like even with like older RPGs? So the best one I can think of that did multiple endings was Chrono Trigger.
By the way, also one of my favorite games of all time, alongside Undertale, one of my top 3.
Yeah, but and like that game has a bunch of endings, and partially due to the fact that of what the subject matter is in the game, you're literally traveling through time to try and beat a monster. There's eventually going to be the what if I beat the game before X moment happens and the story beats, and then like you see that, and then like that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But generally speaking, the story, I gotta figure out how to best phrase this. When you go through an RPG, you go in expecting to spend 10, 20, 30, 60, 70, 80, whatever, how many hours you need to beat the game. But once you beat it, you are expecting to get the ending. There is not going to be any sort of need to do a replay or playthrough unless it's optional, like post-endgame content, like with someone like RPGs will have, like Dungeon or Dragon Quest and Final Fantasy. And I don't think, in my opinion, the gameplay mechanics and the story of Undertale did not drive me into wanting to do a pacifist run to find the true ending.
Okay. Also, I can actually say this because I don't know whether it was a poll thing or what. There was a thing going on after Undertale released, and 70% of new players killed something. 30% actually got the pacifisted their first neutral run.
All right.
So
I can see that. I would suspect that 30% is a little bit tainted, but I could see it being like 80-20. That makes sense.
Yeah, it was just that for me, the experience I got from the neutral playthrough, it didn't compel me to want to try again for the quote-unquote true ending.
And see, that, like, the thing for me is, like, the pacifist ending is where the most interesting stuff is. Like, the True Laboratory is the most interesting storyline part of the game, and the Asriel Dreamer fight is probably Photoshop Flowey is more difficult than it, but the Asriel Dreamer fight is just one of the funnest parts of the game to me.
I get the idea of if you played through the game, unless you really like it, if you've done a neutral run, you're probably not itching to go, okay, well, that was a little anticlimactic. I guess I have to start the whole thing over. It's like if you really like and you're like, oh man, well that was such a fun trip and I know what to do, so I can just run through it really quick and not kill anything. That's one thing. When you and I played and we didn't kill anything in the first place, it wasn't a problem because it was, we just go back into our save and go do a couple other things, and then that's fine. So I wonder, like, if I played it on my own without you, if I, like, would I have immediately mercied everything? Like, I knew I didn't have to kill anything, but what if I didn't go back and try to not kill Toriel? Like, how would that have affected everything? I don't know if I would have immediately jumped back. I probably would have eventually someday gone back and played the game again, but I probably would have ended up just like watching a Let's Play of somebody do a pacifist run just to know the story. So I get if you didn't not clean neutral run, quote, quote, as in it's technically a neutral run because you have to end up getting a neutral ending, but it's pacifist. I get going, well, I mean, I got other games to play because I'm an adult and I've only had so much hours and I have a job and, you know, possibly kids or relationship. You know, even if it's only 10 hours, like,
the whole
10
point
hours
of
I
the
could be
game,
playing something else.
I mean, one of the whole points of the game, I think all of us can agree, is that consequences matter. That's why you can kill them. And, like, how else would you do this? Where, like, I think this is considering how short the game is, I think this is the most effective way to make it feel like your choices matter, where, okay, if you killed somebody, they're gone, they're not going to be there for the ending. So if you want the best ending, you need to not have killed people.
In my opinion, this is just my opinion, so take it as you will. If you wanted to try and do this, what I would have done would be give the player a weapon that is non-lethal. So, like, the toy knife would probably be the example, or something like that. So then it's like, okay, I can do some damage to a monster, but I will never kill a monster with this weapon.
The stick, what you start with, would probably be the...
Yeah. So, like, I can damage them, but, like, if I bring it to zero, it will say, like, you knocked out the monster, or you scare off, or something like that. The way
weapon
to
tell you, okay, now you could kill things. Be careful with this.
Yeah, and the other thing would be have the trigger be the tutorial fight. Have the trigger be that, like, what you do with tutorial is how you begin the pacifist run, or how you begin a genocide run. Because that is the major story beat that really, in my mind, that would really define when such a run would begin, based on how the story has been portrayed up to that point in time.
And talking about routes, there's really only two routes. You have the genocide route and you have the pacifist route. Because the neutral is literally just a step on the pacifist route. Like, it's part of the pacifist story.
Yeah.
So, but before we move on to anything else, I want to mention something about the neutral route, in that there's a shitload of neutral endings.
Yeah, there are.
A lot.
There's neutral, there's soulless neutral, there's...
Well, I'm not even talking about, like
if you beat Papyrus and nobody else, then he's not going to be in the ending, and
there's a lot of
away, and
there's a lot of if-then endings in the neutral run.
There's seriously like 30 different
Papyrus becomes king or something.
Yes.
Like,
but the important part
about
that is,
pacifist run.
The important part about that is when Flowey pops up after the ending, he'll always go into his spiel about the whole, oh, well, this is what you need to do to get the ending, but there's a part before that when he first shows up where he'll make references to that ending, and every one of them is different, and they give you pieces of the story that you don't get anywhere else. Like how many times he's gone through this, how he's done all of these different, and basically these endings himself, and things like the reason he still talks to Papyrus is because Papyrus was always his favorite character. Papyrus was the one who kept him entertained for the longest time. It was the one that took him the longest to grow tired of before you showed up. Like, there's just a whole bunch of, like, Flowey, like, half of Flowey's story only shows up from doing the neutral endings or reading somebody transcribe them.
Yeah.
Right. It's and also, you know, you find out, even in the neutral run, the major plot point that is the ability to save. Like, they turned a basic game mechanic in every single RPG, saving your game, and turned it into the thing that causes this universe to play out over and over and over again.
Yep.
And somebody is looking to break the chain, finally.
The power of
Aren't
determination.
time loops fun?
Yes.
Don't you love playing with time?
Dude, I love time travel, so I'm on board.
So, it's, having, beaten the neutral route, I may eventually go back and do... I'm going to have to, scrub Undertale completely from my computer, because...
Brian, you want? I can send you a post-neutral pacifist save if you just want to start up after that neutral ending.
But, maybe. But,
Or we can totally just play with you.
Yeah, we will road trip up there.
We will
play with
annoy
this
you
weekend.
with our...
Well, actually, I just
Well,
realized...
I don't work, so-
I just realized something, though. Because I bought... I'm going to be building a new PC soon, which means a whole
New hard drive.
New hard drive, new everything, but I just realized I bought Undertale on Steam. When I download it from Steam, because my save information is synced to Steam servers...
Nope, you can.
No.
Don't worry about it.
That's not a thing?
The file that is left behind by Undertale goes in some really obscure folder.
Because of the way they do it to make it difficult for you to delete the file, it does not sync with Steam.
Then what does?
Everything else, basically.
Okay, I thought that was...
That is the one thing that doesn't sync with Steam, because they made it so that they want it to be difficult for people to do quote unquote safe manipulation, but
okay, because I just realized that. I'm like, wait a minute.
Unless they changed it, because it's been a long time, but I just did it and it did not download my old save.
Okay.
And my whole thing was through Steam, so...
Okay.
But if
good
they
to
do,
know.
Sorry, but if they do, I know where the files are to delete it, because after we killed Goat Mom, I went in and deleted the save, because fuck Flowey, he does not get to win. He does not get to win.
Basically.
Not smarter than me. I am real and he's a computer flower.
You are bytes on a hard drive, sir. You do not get to win.
So
you technically don't exist.
So that's Undertale, and that's why, again, my reasons for getting. I mean, there are great things about this game that, for me, the things I really didn't really appeal or I didn't really enjoy, but there's some great moments with Undertale. For example, the soundtrack.
I was about to say, wanted to interrupt you and go, can we at least all agree that the music is amazing? Can we also agree on that?
Have you heard the metal remixes?
Oh, yes.
I
know you have, Ronnie. What about Brian?
That was, I have not. But, that is why I ultimately chose Megalovania as the opening theme for Season 8 of downloadable content.
An excellent choice.
Because I love that theme so much, and it was when I was narrowing down the field to what themes to use as the opening for Season 8. So I was like, okay, Megalovania is going to win that one. There were some really good ones that had beat out, but yes, the soundtrack is amazing.
I mean, for me, I love Hopes and Dreams. I love his theme. Like, those are my favorites.
I don't remember a lot of the names anymore because I don't listen to the soundtrack every other week like Ronnie does. But
it's only 101 tracks. I mean, come on, Dejah.
I mean, you listen to Final Fantasy music, right? That's about as many tracks, right?
But I never, other than Eris's theme and the Crystal theme, I don't know the names of those either. I love. Well, I know you're just. I can't talk. Here are words. I love both of Metaton's themes. The little makes me
Death
really
by
happy.
Glamour.
Well, that's his second one.
Yes.
His first one's the one that sounds super, almost like gears grinding at the beginning, like super mechanical, and I just love that.
I've actually used Bone Tristle in a D&D campaign as a boss battle theme.
I like the Temi Village song. Not quite as much as Malo Mart, but close.
Uh-huh.
Metal Crusher is the name of the theme you like.
Metal Crusher, yes! So, like, there are times that I've annoyed Ronnie by putting on the Temi theme. I also like Dog Song. That's another kind of annoying one that just makes me happy. I think that's Greater Dog's song.
We still. Do you guys mind if I go through the pacifist the pacifist walkthrough like we have been real quick, and then we can go into.
That's fine. I'm fine with that.
Okay. Since I'm the one who just played through it, and I know you two have read about it, do you mind if I lead on that?
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay. So, once you get the neutral ending, regardless of what you get, and you get your information from Flowey, you either play through the game again, or you reload your save, and now you get to do the next part of the story. Let's go on a date with Alphys. So, when you're coming back...
That is a whole pile of emotions and feelings right there.
Absolutely. If there's one thing that Alphys is good at, it's feeling things very strongly.
Ooh, Undyne.
Yes, exactly. So as you're on your way back to go to the lab, you get a call from Papyrus and Undyne. Undyne wants you to deliver a letter for her. Why? You don't know yet. So you go back, you get the letter, because Undyne is too embarrassed to deliver it, because it's a love letter to Alphys. So you go to Alphys, you give her the letter, Alphys thinks you're the one who likes her, and you guys get to go on a date in the garbage dump. Because of course you do.
Misunderstandings.
Because where else do you go on a date?
That's where the trash heaps always go on dates.
Yes, so you go on the date at the garbage dump. Alphys admits that she likes Undyne after she tries giving you a bunch of items. Before we go on the date, I need to raise your affection levels, but I got a lot of items to do that. First, I have this cream for your scales. Wait, you don't have scales. I have this armor polish. Oh, wait, you don't have armor polish.
Or you don't have armor to polish.
Yeah, you don't have armor to polish. Magical spear repair kit. So, finish that. You go on the date. You're in the garbage dump. You find out that Alphys likes Undyne. You guys roleplay, you pretending that you're Undyne. Undyne shows up. They get together. Yay, happiness. But it ends with Alphys going, okay, I've admitted how I feel. I've admitted that I've been a screw-up. I can't feel good about myself unless I do something. This is important. And they go back to the true lab. Or to the lab. You follow them, you go through it, and you find what Alphys had really done, the reason that they feel so bad throughout it, and you get the real story of Undertale. I'm just going to talk about the story, and you guys can jump in whenever you want, but in the True Lab, you find a couple things. You find a bunch of monsters that look like they're combinations of a bunch of monsters you've already seen melted together. And you find lab reports. Lab reports on what happened. Where Undyne was made, where Alphys was made the royal scientist because she created Metaton, a monster with a soul, who she didn't really make. She just made a body for the ghost, but they don't know that. Asgore doesn't know. So Alphys kind of got a position that she was not qualified for. But she tried. She tried to let the humans escape. The monsters escape. They don't have enough human souls, they can't break through, so she figures, if I can find a way to make a monster soul that survives, we can use those to break the seal. So she studies the souls and discovers determination. That's what lets the human souls exist and not fall apart after they die. And it's what allows you to do all the things you do. It's what allows you to save, it's what allows you to load, and it's what allows you to not die when you're facing Flowey in either of the boss battles. So she takes this determination, and she starts injecting it into things. First, she takes fallen down monsters that are in a coma and are about to die, and she injects them with determination to try to create something that can. She's not trying to save them. She's trying to make it so that when they die, their souls stay. But it doesn't. It does what it did to you. Where you refuse to die, so do they. They don't die, they wake up. But monster bodies can't hold determination. They're not physical enough. So they start to melt. They start to become the monsters you see here. A bunch of monsters melt together into one massive form with all of the brains and thoughts inside of them. While Alphys is doing this, she's also experimenting with creating a host. Monsters can't hold monster souls, and humans can't hold human souls. So to create something that can hold both, you need something that has no heart to begin with. So she takes the one thing from the outside world that came through, the flowers that were grown from Kara and Azrael coming back, which we'll talk about later, and takes one of those flowers from the outside world and injects it with determination. That flower becomes Flowey. We'll explain why later, but Flowey gets injected with a lot of determination, a large amount, making it the thing with the most determination in the underground, which is the reason it can save and load, all the way up until when you show up, because you have more. Alphys is at a loss. All of these monsters woke up, but now they've melted together and are abominations. What can I say to these monsters' families? And that's why Alphys shuts herself away in her lab. It's the reason in her lab you find tons of letters from the different families' monsters that are unopened. Because she never read them, because she doesn't want to be confronted. Asgore keeps trying to call her, she references at one point, and she won't answer because she can't explain. She can't tell him what's really going on. She's basically shut herself off away from the world because to do anything else would mean being confronted with the fact that she was given all these bodies and she can't give them back. She can't show them what happened. So there's that story. I'm sorry, am I taking up too much, guys?
No,
Should I keep? Okay. Then you get the second half of the story, which are the videotapes, which explain about Azrael and Kara. Azrael and Kara are the son and sibling of the king and queen, Toriel and Asvor. They have two children. One monster child, Azrael, and their adopted human child, Kara, the first fallen human.
Yep.
Kara is really what starts the whole game off. They're what you see in sepia tones when you start the game up. That's them falling, not Frisk. Yep. You can tell from the shirt. Their plan is what starts all of this, because the story you were told in the neutral ending, that Kara fell ill, Azrael took Kara's soul when they died so he could bring Kara's body back to the human world and lay it to rest, and then they were attacked by the humans. That's not what really happened. What really happened is Kara hates humanity. Kara wants to free the monsters, the only people who have ever been nice to them. And Kara has an idea. A monster with a human soul can go through the barrier, then all you have to do is get 6 other souls by killing humans and come back, and you can free them. You can free everyone. So she convinces, they convince, I keep saying she because my brain, they convince Azrael to go along with it. Yep. They poison themselves, and Azrael takes their soul, and they go to the surface to hunt down some humans. But Azrael... Yep.
Yeah, and then I think, if I remember correctly from reading, Azrael decides it has a change of heart.
Yes. Azrael is too soft-hearted to kill. They get to the surface, and Azrael is the greatest thing that Kara has to fight. Kara is trying to kill, and Azrael will not let them. And because of that, the humans fight back and nearly kill them. They do kill them, but they get back to the underground before they die.
Mm-hmm.
The combined form dies, falls into dust, and the dust gets on the flowers. And that's how Azrael's soul gets stuck in, or Azrael's essence, not soul, gets stuck in Flowey. Kara's body is originally put in those coffins you see, but when Toriel leaves, because she disagrees with Asgore killing everybody, she takes the body with her back to the ruins and lays Kara to rest under the yellow patch of flowers where they originally found Kara. Right where you're found. And that's how you end up with Kara's essence throughout all of the playthroughs you play. Kara's personality comes out during the Genocide run, very obviously. That's how most people know about Kara. But Kara's with you in all of the runs. That's the reason your name is Kara, and all of the experience and levels you gain are increasing Kara's power. While it is not directly stated in the game, it's commonly accepted that the flavor text throughout the game is actually Kara speaking to you, not just random game text, because it makes actual comments that would make no sense for somebody who doesn't know about monsters, and the ghost monsters like Napstablook respond to the flavor text. The flavor text tells Napstablook he's not funny, and Napstablook responds with, "Oh yeah, well, I'll show you funny. I'm real funny." There's a lot of little moments like that, but there's enough evidence that unless Toby Fox comes out and says something, it's pretty accepted that Kara is
pretty much assumed.
It's pretty assumed that Kara is the voice throughout it, because the monster language is not the same as human. They say that, but you can read monster. It's because you're not the one reading it. Kara, who lived there for years, is. I can show you a bunch of stuff on it later.
Oh yeah, I'm sure you can. So
to finish, so you finish. Sorry, you guys have anything you want to add to that, and then I'm gonna finish the True Lab.
Go on.
Okay. So you finish the True Lab. You meet Alphys. Alphys basically goes, "Whoa, guys! These aren't. They're not dangerous. They're just hungry. Don't worry about these amalgamations." And explains to you exactly what I told you about that you read throughout the lab. And then you turn the elevator on and leave. But as you leave, you get a call from a voice you've never heard before saying that you're doing a great job and to keep going. When you go to face Asgore this time, Goat Mom shows up and stops you from fighting.
Yay, Goat Mom.
And then everyone shows up. All of the main characters. Toriel, Asgore, obviously, but Papyrus, Sans, Undyne, and Alphys. Even Metaton shows up at one point. And they all show up, and you get to have them talk to each other for a second. It's nice. And then it goes, "Hey, Papyrus, you're the one who called everybody here except for Toriel, who followed you. Why did you come?" And Papyrus drops the bomb that, "Oh, I called everybody here because a little flower told me to." And everyone gets captured by Flowey. Flowey...
Son of a bitch!
Yes! Flowey has all 6 of the souls. Flowey takes the souls from all of your friends and all of the monsters in the underground. And uses that to make a 7th soul, basically. So before, they had 6 souls, they weren't a god yet, they were just super powerful. Now they've become a god. And that's what you fight. Using the 7 souls, they become Azrael again, who they once were. And you fight Azrael Dreamer, the god of hyperdeath, who's basically an anime character and is basically from Gurren Lagann. He's fighting with frickin' anime-style attacks. All of them with ridiculous names.
and, again, bullet hell throughout.
Yes, but I can be wrong here, but I'm pretty sure it is impossible to lose the Asriel Dreamer fight. Like, the last actual fight was your Photoshop Flowey fight. Because Asriel Dreamer, you're at the point where your determination is so high, you don't die in the fight. As it puts it in it, it shows your heart break, and then it comes back together and it says it refused.
But the world refused.
Yes, that is directly what happens in it. So you go through the fight, you can't beat him, but through the act menu, you can awaken your friends inside of him. Kind of like the first fight where the humans rebel. Instead, you're able to save each of your friends.
Kind of a story fight sort of thing.
Yeah, it's a big story thing. And then once you save all your friends, you get to use the memories you have from Kara to save Asriel. And you get to see that sepia-toned cutscene at the beginning of the game. You only see a portion of it. You get to see, when you awaken it, you get to see the rest of it where Asriel finds them and that little part. And you get to basically make them give up on destroying the world. Which, by the way, at this point, they say their whole premise for doing this is because they don't want you to leave. If you finish the game, you will leave and you won't come back. They're having so much fun with you, they can't be alone again. They need you here. They can't let you go. And as long as you can't beat Asriel, you will stay. That's their reason for what they're doing. So you finish the run, you beat them, you get to talk to all your friends again. If you want to, you get to go through the whole underground and talk to everybody. They all have new text because once you beat them, the barrier is shattered. At the very end, you can go back through the whole game, and if you go back to where you fell, Asriel is there by that patch of land. When you find out your name is Frisk is actually at the very end of that battle. Because up until now, you've assumed your name is whatever you named yourself at the beginning. But no, you named the first fallen human. You named Kara. Your name is Frisk in all playthroughs. But the saddest part for me is you can't save Asriel. Which I know Ron over there is probably like, woohoo! Kill the flower!
Well, I don't care. I believe the reason why you can't save him is because there's no essence, there's not enough essence left to be saved.
Yeah, there's no heart left. The reason they became Asriel again is because they had other people's hearts inside of them.
Right.
As they say when you talk to them at the very end, there's no way to fix me. I'm gonna become that flower again. I can already feel it happening. My compassion, my emotions will all go away again, and all that will be left is that determination to survive. And that's what Flowey is. Flowey is that determination I was injected with to not die, but it has none of the positive traits. All it has is that stark feeling that I need to exist. They also talk a little about Kara basically going, I don't know why you came to the mountain. You must have heard the stories that people who come to this mountain are never seen again. But I know why Kara came to this mountain. It wasn't for a nice reason. It commonly accepted that Kara was trying to commit suicide. And that they hated humanity, that Asriel didn't know why, but that they hated humans. And that Kara was probably not a very good person, and that they were projecting onto Frisk throughout the game. That's why the only person who calls you Kara throughout the entire game is Flowey, because Flowey's the one who's trying to make you something you're not. And then you go and get your ending. Beautiful ending. You get to go off, you get a picture with your friends, or you get to stay with Goat Mom and get Butts Pie again.
Yep.
End of the game.
Yay!
Yay! I talked a lot. I've talked for like the last 10 minutes.
Now, that'll happen.
Sorry, guys.
And then you could submit to Kara's desires and do the genocide run.
Yes. which leads to the Sans fight, which I love how the very first window in the text box is, it just shows Sans just standing there in the battle screen window and just says, you're pretty sure you're about to have a bad time.
Yes. Can we talk about the Undyne fight first?
Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I just love the fact that in the Undyne fight, she has determination. In the Undyne fight, you get the killing blow, and she starts to disappear, and then her eyes glow, she pulls herself back together, and she goes, "No, this will not end this way. You will not kill me." And she, after that, every time you do a killing blow, she comes back. She refuses to die. And the only reason she loses in the end is her body starts to melt like the amalgamations because she has too much determination. But I love that Undyne, as the true hero, does what you do in both of the other endings. Which basically just cements the fact that they're the heroes, not you. You're the villain now. Right. You're the monster being killed.
I don't... And again, this is the kind of the point of the genocide run is humans can be dicks. Like, yes. Surprise, people are dicks. But, like, to the monsters, like, we are the monster because we have all this power and use it in such horrific fashions against ourselves, much less the monsters themselves.
Well, they try to paint the monsters as better than humans, but they have the same flaws we do. I mean, look at Asgore murdering 6 children.
Yeah. Yeah, monsters have flaws too, but, like, for all the flaws that the monsters have, there's still the sense of, like, the humans are 10 times worse because of determination.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Like, the monsters are definitely painted in a tragic light here.
Yeah. And so, like, again, the Sans fight, like, generally speaking, like, the whole point of the Sans fight is, okay, this is a really fucking difficult fight, and, you know, he only does 1 damage every single time.
Yeah, what are you talking about? He's the easiest... you do his check menu. It's the easiest fight ever. He only has 1 attack and 1 defense.
He only has 1 attack power, 1 defense power, and he's got literally 1 hit point.
Yes.
Well, he's got some sweet dodging.
Yes,
but he dodges forever. It's like, what? You have to hit him like 300 times or something to actually hit him?
Nope, it's storyline based.
Okay.
I don't know how many times, but you don't hit him. He just gives you a line of dialogue. And
yeah, you don't deal the final blow.
You have an ass time trying to get in between the lines of dialogue.
Throughout the genocide run, Kara takes control of your body, where you don't actually get to do something, the game does it automatically. That's what happens at the end of the Sans fight. You keep attacking, finally you do your last attack and it misses, but then immediately, without you doing anything, a second attack happens and it kills him.
Right.
And that's right.
Okay, here's the thing. It hits him and he starts bleeding.
Yes.
But he's a skeleton.
Yes.
And
Absolutely.
Then there's like the mention of like the bottle of ketchup, and it's like, oh, yeah.
I mean, arguably, there's a lot of things there, and I don't subscribe to the fact that he's not a skeleton, but he's definitely more than he lets on, because when he's sleeping in the battle, he's not speaking in Sans font.
Yeah.
He speaks in a different font.
There's definitely things going on with Sans that are not the clear and never made clear for that specific reason.
Yep, you get the key to his. Actually, when we finish talking about the genocide route, I'll talk about his hidden realm if you don't mind.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, but
okay.
You know,
yes, Brian.
You get to the point. You know, you're getting near the end of the game of the genocide run. Now, when I did some reading up on this and just watching a Let's Play of the genocide run, when Flowey starts getting scared of you.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's you know, I think that happens after the Sans battle or before.
Yeah. After Undyne.
Okay.
And so, everything from Undyne to Sans is Flowey realizing he's made a big mistake.
Yes, and so you're watching these scenes.
The difference here is Flowey is pretending to be a serial killer. Kara is a serial killer.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so like it starts off as Flowey, just hey, we're buds, etc., and I'm doing this for you because we're gonna do this together, and but as the dialogue progresses, with each passing scene, the realization dawns on Flowey that yes, I have made a horrible You've met with a terrible fate, haven't you?
Ultimately, Flowey is trying to be entertained. Flowey is bored. Flowey's done everything the game has to offer. Flowey is happy you're there because you're entertaining.
Yeah, you're new, but then he realizes after you kill Undyne, like, no, you're not new. You're Kara. Oh, yeah. Fuck.
And he wants Kara back, but Kara doesn't want things to not be boring. Kara wants everything to stop existing.
Yeah, Kara's a nihilist. She's Kafka.
Yeah, and
So,
Dejah, sorry.
You were gonna say?
I was gonna say, thanks. I feel like, and this is just me, so initially Flowey's like, oh ho ho, isn't it fun to kill? Like I'm just looking for like the new high kind of thing. But he doesn't really have any consequences with anything. He can just reload if things get too real. Exactly. But by the time it gets to the Undyne fight, it's almost like, oh, okay, hey, haha, yeah, maybe not. I'm not in control anymore. Oh, fuck. Oh, Jesus Christ, I don't know what I'm gonna do now. Okay, I guess let's just be buddies with the serial killer and hope he doesn't kill me.
Well, I mean, Kara was his closest, was his sibling. Like, they were...
Adopted sibling, yeah.
They were best friends. Like, they have the best friends forever lockets. It's not until afterward they realize, I betrayed Kara. As far as they're concerned, I'm just another monster now.
Yeah.
And one thing I'll say, because I've already screwed up on it. I know Ron might not even know, but he did the same thing. For Frisk and Kara, the game only uses they them pronouns.
Yes. Yeah, I remember, and this is a thing.
I'm bad at it because most of the stuff I read is Kara as a girl, so I use she unless like it's super important. It's super important for representation. Everything I try to be good about it, but sometimes it slips out.
I try to be aware of it too. Sometimes it's just this is a discussion point that I think needs to be said, in that sometimes people will default to gender tones and not mean to.
Yeah.
So we refer to them with gender tones just to make it simpler for our brains and not use they them, because unless you're really you at least for me,
it's something you can get used to, but if you're not used to it, it's hard.
Yeah, it's hard to, especially, and even when you are used to it, you still will slip up sometimes, just because you don't think when you speak sometimes.
Dude, I did the same thing earlier. I wasn't trying to call you out. I wanted to, especially for our viewers who might not be aware of this, it was something I wanted to bring up.
Yeah, no, that's fine, and I agree, because it is a point of the game where it's like, they don't care about the outside. They only care about you as the individual. As
I say, Toby was very, very deliberate in this. Like, if you look at Frisk's skin tone, the reason that they're such an odd skin tone is so that anybody could see themselves as Frisk. Frisk is so indeterminate in their design deliberately, so okay, you can see Frisk as male or female, you can see Frisk as however you want.
Yeah, and it was designed that way. Again, like, the only reason people think Kara is female, in my mind, is the name itself
has a female sounding kind of thing to it.
Yeah, whereas
like Kara, Carrie.
Well, a lot of people default to she for both Frisk and Kara because he made them androgynous, and like it or not, in our culture, androgyny is more of a feminine trait. Like, if you're not strongly masculine, then you're
See,
feminine.
maybe that this is me, but I think of Frisk as male because of the harsher sounding tones of in the name.
You're not the only one. You're definitely not. I know from the fandom, it's generally like the general consensus most people do if they gender them is female. But
Okay.
I've seen both. I've seen both on both of them. So
All right, fair
I'm a
enough.
fan of the non-gendered thing.
yeah, non-gendered
For
for
myself.
for both of them is the most common.
That's fine, and I try to be aware of it. It's just sometimes I miss it or slip it up or whatever.
Oh,
But
it's fine.
I screwed up I screwed up a couple times when I was telling the True Lab, and I tried to catch myself and switch from she to they each time, but
yeah,
I wanted to make sure when people listen to this, they realize I was deliberately trying to fix that. Like, it's something we're aware of. That's all I was trying to say.
but to get back on topic of
Yes.
true genocide, so
Yes.
so we go through and kill literally everybody, and
Until nobody comes.
yeah,
Okay, that's the like for an RPG. How's that for breaking conventions? In an RPG where you have random battles and you have an endless amount and you just grind out as much as you want, you reach a point where you've killed everyone and people stop coming. How's that for breaking convention?
Yeah, it's just like, oh hey, there's nobody here.
Yeah.
Oh,
you,
hey,
you literally
what?
committed
No
genocide.
infinity random battles forever and ever?
Well, it's not called a
you
genocide
officially-
run for a reason. Just to say it's evil. It's literally called genocide because you wipe out a goddamn race of people.
You just caused the dodos to become extinct. What are you going to next?
Disney World.
But then you get to the Asgore
Dejah
fight, you
beat me
kill
to
him. You get to the Asgore fight, you kill him. Then you get to Flowey afterwards, and it's like, hey, buddy, you know all that fun you had. Like, hey, you can go out into the world now. Congratulations! And it's like, at this point in time, he's just like trying to save his own goddamn skin.
Yeah, and then finally he just pleads, don't kill me. You do anyway.
And that's
Yeah.
why I was saying, like, that like, I went from wanting to murder Flowey so hard at the beginning of the game to when watching a genocide run to being like, oh, okay, I mean, you sucked, Flowey, but maybe, like, you don't deserve this. Like, I think you can be redeemed. This is,
Yeah.
Kara sucks.
Yeah, no, and then at the end of it, like, Kara, like, wakes up, basically, if memory serves. Like, basically, like, you killing so many monsters, like, reawakens her, like, consciousness and desire, and it's like, oh, you're just like me. So let's go out into the world and make it better. And by better, she means literally just, like, nuke the whole fucking place.
Kara is it's an interesting point, because after you beat Sans, if your reflexes are that good, it's just, you get to that point and you're given a bit of dialogue, and they are offering you the option to finish the job.
Yeah, and then like the little pop-up menu, like, you pops up and it's like, erase, do not, and it's just like, what? And it's like, do you want to erase the world or do you not want to erase the world? And it's like, oh, whoa! I just wanted to get out of there. These were evil monsters. What are you talking about? And it's just like, nope, no, never mind. You're a horrible fucking person, and you're just like me. So, whether
But
you like it or not, you're gonna erase the world.
So, but that's not the real ending, though.
No, it's not.
So the whole point of this is once you erase the world, the only way for you to get the world back is to sell your soul to Kara.
Yeah.
And by doing that, it taints every run you ever do afterwards.
Yep.
Because the ultimate purpose is to get you to do a tainted pacifist run, where a soulless pacifist run, where you end the pacifist run and then Kara takes control of your body and murders all of your friends.
Mhm.
And then goes on to kill all of humanity because Kara
Again.
finally got their wish to actually end the world.
Yeah.
And that jump scare, though, from Kara, if you decide to, when you do the genocide run for the first time, when you choose do not.
Fuck, can I just generally say fuck jump scares? Like, fuck anyone that uses them.
Like,
Yeah, I'm not.
Yeah, I'm guessing you're not going to be a fan of the FNAF one of these that'll come eventually.
you thought you were in control?
Because I could talk all day about FNAF.
And then a bunch of
thank
nine,
you.
and then just the screen
Yeah, I
is just
have to
covered
listen
in
to him
nines.
watching all those.
Yeah, I'm just like, fuck. Like, oh my god, jump
Also-
scares when you die in a fire.
Also, Brian, you might, if you watched somebody play it, you might not actually have been able to see this, but if you have the game, first of all, when the jump scare happens, it forces the game into windowed mode.
Yep.
But you wouldn't see that if they're just recording it. They have to be recording the whole monitor to do it, and the screen will shake. And then when it does the 9999, it'll do the vibration exactly the way monsters do when they die, right before it closes.
Yeah, it's like it's really creepy. And then afterwards, to actually get into Solus mode, you have to sit and stare at a black window screen for 10 minutes
like,
before
for
Kara
10
comes.
minutes!
Yeah, while it's literally
With
just
wind
like
blowing around.
yeah, when it's literally just like the howling abyss going around you before Kara comes back, and it's like, oh, why are you still here? You want to come back?
Open it up, go make yourself a sandwich, go to
Go
the
do
bathroom.
some laundry or whatever.
Come back.
It's kind of
oh,
funny,
hey.
though. If you recreate it and then do another genocide run, Kara is disgusted with you.
Like, really? You're gonna do again? I'm a sick bastard, but you.
Yes, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Because Kara, I mean, I won't say Kara doesn't want to kill people, but Kara wants everything to just not exist.
Yeah,
If
she
you keep,
or sorry, they just don't want existence to be anymore. They're 100% on a nihilist make nothingness occur plan.
and when you want to keep bringing it back and keep destroying it, they're like, "Wow, you're way more fucked up."
You should seek therapy, bro.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's a difference between destroying everything constantly over and over again, and then just making existence not happen. They're both equally
There's
fucked
no
up.
suffering, right? Like,
Well,
there's just nothing.
a different kind of fucked up.
But to consistently bring something back, it'd be like bringing somebody back to life so that you could kill them again. Is just like, really? And yeah, they're both messed up, but I can see why Kara would then go, hey, that's too extreme for me there.
So
Yeah.
we've gone through the game. And, almost 3 hours later. And that's alright. There's a lot packed into, this relatively short game. And while I personally feel that, some of the design choices in the game did not, appeal to me, there's certainly cause for, and plenty of reason why this was so widely critically acclaimed. Now, you mentioned, Ronnie, a billion years ago when this episode started, the couple of controversies that occurred, which to this point, were completely unfamiliar with.
Okay. Yeah, there's a couple things I can bring up, but pretty much all of it comes down to the game is critically acclaimed by almost all critics, all game reviewers, everything. The issue with the game is its fan base. And
The fan base is very divisive.
very toxic.
Yes.
I've never really gotten into the fandom other than I like the game, I like to talk to other people about the games, but like, I'm not chilling on Tumblr going,
I mean,
your thing is problematic and here's why, and
keep in mind, there's a lot of great things in the fan base. Undertale has some of the best fan work communities. There are animations of Undertale. There are songs. There's animations. There's artwork. There's so many things that, like, coming from other community, from other fandoms, I've never seen such an engaged community as Undertale. But if there's one thing the Undertale community is, it's very focused and obsessive. And that's not always a good thing. Such as with one of the controversies pretty early on, where there were YouTubers who were doing Undertale who were getting harassed by all of the Undertale fans for playing their game wrong bad. You are wrong bad for killing things, and you are playing the game wrong, and you are doing a blind run so you don't know anything, but you are a bad person for doing so. Some YouTubers got death threats from people for playing the game wrong, got constant harassment. A bunch of YouTubers, the biggest one, the most famous one being Markiplier, who quit the game after 1 or 2 episodes and basically went, I'm not having fun doing this because of the fan base.
And like, who are you to say that you're playing it wrong? It's a game, like...
It's what I said at the beginning of the episode. It was just like, when I got a very small taste of this. Just a very small taste of this. Just, when I mentioned on Facebook that, this was a sort of game, an okay game, and I said, I got varying degrees of disagreement to just, oh, really? I thought you would have really liked this game.
Well, that was basically me, I was confused at it, but I'm like, okay, like...
up to,
I was disappointed, but... Like, you're my friend, who am I going to say, like, what? How dare you?
Yeah, you did this wrong. So, it's like, all right, people, it's like, I was not, I did not get the same level of enjoyment out of it as you did. Back off.
But yeah, fucking death threats, like...
I don't think I even knew it was that bad.
Like, yeah, no, they are very... They are very
down at all.
Not really.
Still like
if someone new goes into Undertale blind and the community catches wind of it, they will probably be very.
Here's why to me. Everybody, on Facebook, one of my friends recently asked if you could erase all memory of a TV show or game from your memory and re-experience it, what game would you do? What would you do? And for me, my response was Undertale, because there's so many things in that game that I wish I could experience fresh, that I could go in and never have known. To a lot of people, that's what Let's Plays are. This is a way to experience these things again through someone else. But here's the thing. We don't want to experience it the way people really do when they're blind. We want somebody to experience a pacifist run blind, because we want to see these things. We don't want the bad feeling. We don't want the feeling that you get when you kill Toriel. We want the feeling of watching someone see all these cool things the first time through, but as a positive experience. And that's why the fan base feels so strongly about it. But that's not what this is.
That's probably why I don't know if I'd ever be able to be a part of like the internet fandom, because I like watching, because you and I have watched 1 or 2 of them, YouTube people going in blind playing it, but experiencing it themselves. Like, when you and I occasionally watch, like, MatPat do his things live, I kind of get ticked off when, like, he has people in, like, the comments and whatever, like, telling him what to do. Now, if he says, I'm stuck, hey, and he hints, that's one thing, but when people are like, you're doing it wrong, it's this one, like, why can't you see it? I'm like, let the guy figure it out on his own first. Like, that's why we're watching it. We're not watching it to tell him what to do and then have him follow our instructions.
I don't know, sometimes I scream at the screen.
Well, okay, that's fine, but like...
There's a difference between screaming at the screen, going, you're an idiot, and actually typing those words into a window that they can read.
I know.
That says you're an idiot.
I was just being fun. I was just trying to be funny.
Yeah.
Which I do yell at the screen sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, like, again, that is the entertainment watcher mentality that most people in like the Western audience has with video games or entertainment in general, where it's like after a certain point you can sort of predict what's going to happen, then you just like you want to see it not occur because you want something new and interesting to happen, and you don't want the trope or the expected outcome because a new experience is what you're looking for. And I've seen people go through Let's Plays for like Persona 5 is like the one of the more recent long RPG games.
I own it. I haven't played it yet.
Okay. Well, there are things that happen in Persona 5 that are very, I will describe as hypey in terms of like high emotions are felt, and sometimes they're really good, and sometimes we
played Persona before. We know what you mean.
Yeah, and so like with certain people I watch play it, they will go through and their community is small enough to go, okay, this thing is about to happen, and I know it's about to happen, but I won't spoil it because I want you to go into it untainted.
I'm excited to see what your reaction is going to be.
Exactly. And then there are other people who have large fan bases or large communities, and then people spoil it because they're trolling or they want to be noticed or something like that, and then it's just spoiling it for not only you but the rest of the audience as well, or not only for the Let's Player but for the audience as well. It's just like at that point it really depends on how big you are for the internet. Where if it's like, oh, you're a small community of like maybe 5 or 10 people, more than likely no one will spoil it. But if you're someone on Twitch that gets like 10 or 20,000 people watching you throughout the week whenever you stream, you then go into a game like Persona or you go into a game like Undertale, I think you're going to get a lot of that vitriol and a lot of toxicity.
It's just like any fan base that grows to a certain size becomes toxic to a point. Because once the niche of Undertale, I think we can all agree that Undertale's underlying message is a positive one. It's about hope. It's about redemption. Even you can do a genocide run, but the genocide run is designed to take as much fun out of the game as possible deliberately. They take away all but 2 boss battles. It's super grindy to the point where it's not fun. Like, they're doing everything they can to make you feel bad for doing this.
It's also about like a little like tolerance too in general. Just being able to like people have differences, don't hate people for them.
Absolutely. Like, there's so many good messages in Undertale, and anybody who sends a death threat because of Undertale missed the entire point of what this game is about. Like, don't be flowy. Like, I thought that was
it's about skeletons who bang goat people, and then Temmies with large breasts, and that's what it's about.
Don't forget the singing robots.
Whenever you would think about sending a death threat to a YouTuber, instead think about blue stop signs.
Blue because you can't jump?
That was one of Sans's jokes in the game.
I don't remember that stuff. No, it was played 2 days ago, Ronnie.
Yeah. It's one of the more memorable quotes to me. Maybe it was just to me.
Yeah, I do not remember.
No,
Sorry?
While you're talking about memorable quotes, the one for me is the one just before the Sans battle. It's what he opens with, the Sans battle. It's a beautiful day outside, birds are singing, the flowers are blooming. On days like these, kids like you should be burning in hell.
Yep. That is absolutely iconic.
Are you gonna send Brian that other video?
I will absolutely send Brian that other video, and I'm gonna make him watch.
I didn't remember that quote until you said that, and I was like, oh yeah, Ronnie showed me that thing a lot at one point.
The other one, which I have adopted into my everyday speech, is another one from Sans, also during that battle, and that's "Get Dunked On." It's
yes,
that's the best one. Where he's like, "Oh, son, get dunked on."
Yeah, where he tries to lure you, where he tries to lure you into that false sense of, okay, we don't have to fight, just just gonna let's hug it out, shank. And then he does that whole, oh, you fell for that. So,
Right. Sorry, I was on something else. Are we done with that topic?
I am. I'm actually good to wind down unless you have anything else.
Well, over 3 hours of Undertale fun time.
I wasn't quite done.
I have to look at this,
I said I had 3 things I wanted to talk about. The first one was the YouTube controversies. The second one was the fandom, which I touched on a little bit. But the third one, which kind of ties into that, is this game is one of the biggest ones other than Chrono Trigger and Final Fantasy VII on how unclear the game is. I would put Dark Souls in this one too, and how much you really need to piece the story of the game together through disparate comments throughout the whole game. Like I said, a huge part of the story is stuff you get from Flowey in the ending. You have to piece together the stuff, Kara's stuff from the genocide run, but there's a lot of things where the game is a little ambiguous, and that leaves a lot of room for people to come up with their theories on what's happening, such as narrator Kara. And there's a lot of things like that, and there's a very large community around trying to piece together Undertale, like the stuff below the surface. Now, there's a bunch of stuff for every character and stuff, but I'd be remiss to not mention one of the biggest theorizing points is W.D. Gaster. Have any of you guys heard about this character?
Not a one.
Okay, Ron?
Nope.
Okay. W.D. Gaster is probably one of the bigger secrets in Undertale, though it's very well known at this point. There's a character that exists in Undertale that you basically can never find. Gaster was the royal scientist before Alphys, and is probably what caused a whole huge portion of the game to happen. He only shows up if the fun value in the game is set to a certain level, which, when I played the game, could only be done by manually editing the files the game has.
Yep.
At this point, they have patched the game and changed it so that you don't need that anymore, and it will randomly happen. It just has a very low chance of happening. At a certain point,
I caught sort of a point of it.
We got
the first time we played, I don't remember the second one. I know you talked about it once, but in Snowden, when you go up and there's like a house and like a rock, like 2 rocks, and like one's a dad and one's a kid or something.
Yep, it's where the ferry would drop you off later in the game. Yeah,
you go up to where the ferry would drop you off, and suddenly your phone rings, and we're like, what? Who's calling us? Is it Toriel? She's gonna say hi, and then it goes, "Hey, is G there?" or something like that. I don't know if it's GA or
it's just G. It's just G, and then it goes ... because they realize they have the wrong number, and they start doing
the wrong number song.
And they start singing about the wrong number.
When we first played, we're like, G, what? So it was only after we, dove into the Undertale lore that we went, oh, hey.
Yeah, it's one. You would not associate it with Gaster except for the fact that if you look into the stuff, it's one of the things that activates when you have the fun value at the right point. So, at various points in the game, you can meet Gaster's followers, which are completely gray monsters that apparently blink in and out of existence. And they will tell you this... Yep.
You keep going with these fan theories, I'm going to have to cut to a second break and do a part 3.
I'm not going to be too long. These aren't even theories. This is just game. Like, this is just in the game. I'll be under 5 minutes, I promise. So you meet these gray monsters that tell you the story of W.D. Gaster, or at least pieces of it. Where he was the royal scientist who fell into his creation, the core, which is the power source for it, and has been erased from reality along with all of his followers. His followers blink in and out of existence depending on the fun value. But Gaster himself can only be found in a room that, in the version of the game I played, does not exist. You actually have to hack the game to get to the room. Now, it can randomly show up at one place in the game, where you can see him, and he talks in Wingdings, because WD Gaster is WD Wingdings, and then Aster, which is another font, which happens to be the font that Sans uses when he's sleeping, when he's not trying to do a different one. You can also find a hidden message, a hidden thing in the True Lab where you're reading all of the computer printouts, and Gaster has one that says "darker, darker, yet darker." Basically, it's a thing with him trying to get a reading on something, and it's basically a void, a nothingness. And at the end, he goes, "What do you two think about this?" And that's where it cuts off. So there's a lot of theorizing over what Gaster is, who he is, who are the two people he's talking to as lab assistants, with the most popular theory, and almost definitely, is one of them is Sans, because Sans has Wingding fonts in his hidden locked room, along with a weird machine and pictures of people you have never seen before. Also, he talks in an Aster font, which is what Gaster is called, and for the font skeletons, him and Papyrus, the font they speak in definitely matters. Like, there's definitely a purpose to it. Also, the version of Gaster you see looks like a skeleton that might be melting like the amalgamations from Determination.
Ooh.
But yeah, no other explanation about him. He's a thing that exists.
I guess Toby Fox wanted to leave behind a few juicy mysteries.
Well, it feels like the game meant to have another update and never happened, because the game is all about redemption, right? The game is about being able to save everyone. The game is about you can have that happy ending if you try hard enough. But Azrael can't have that happy ending. The end of the game, very deliberately, if you go back and talk to him, basically goes, I can't be happy, I can't have this, you just need to leave me behind. Which seems to go completely against what Undertale's trying to teach you. I think that the Gaster stuff and the Azrael stuff, like there's several loose threads that I feel like he intended to come back to, and the game blew up, and he definitely has become intimidated by the fan base. He said that before. He doesn't believe the game is like as good or as worthwhile as people think it is, and I think that he just never ended up coming back the way he wanted to.
If anything, at this point, I would say if he wants to address that little plot thread. Mm-hmm. There's a thing in the game industry we call sequels, and that would be an option that you could do.
There's been hints from him that he may be working on a sequel, or at least he's working on another game. And I would love it. I would absolutely love it, because we have 3 characters who do not get resolutions of the game. We do not have a happy ending for Azrael. We do not have a happy ending or even much outside of the genocide run for Kara at all. And we have no idea who Gaster is.
To me, in my mind, this is just me as a storyteller kind of saying this thing. I think in some cases, for a story to have meaning, there has to be consequence. You can't get the everyone lives and is happy and everyone gets puppies and cake at the end of the game. There has to be a loser somewhere. And I think for a story to have, again, this is my opinion here, if the story wants to continue having this weight on it of mattering, there needs to be a loser, and I think Azrael is, unfortunately, that individual. That this is the person who made some wrong decisions, realized it, but is unable to be, I don't want to say rescued, but he realizes he made mistakes and acknowledges it, and also acknowledges that because of his mistakes, he is not able to be saved.
I think in a realistic story, you're not necessarily wrong, but I'll say the two things I'll say there is, one, does every story have to follow the same format? Because every story is that.
I agree. I think it, again, this is my opinion of like having it carry the weight that it has. It's better that there is a loser.
But the ultimate thing in Undertale is like all of those characters deserve bad things. If anything, Alphys has done worse things than Flowey has. Like,
you could argue that, yes.
I was gonna say, like, everybody here, Asriel's killed 6 children in cold blood. Like, everybody.
You mean Asgore?
Yes, I corrected myself. Asgore killed 6 children in cold blood. Like, everybody here has done terrible things. Why is Asriel the one person who can't get a happy ending no matter what you do? Like, the whole premise of the game is, if you work hard enough, if you're willing to do the work, you can change things, you can make things better. And this really seems to fly in the face of what the game's trying to say. I'm not saying you're wrong. Like, I understand from a narrative perspective what you mean. Like, I'm a writer, I get it. But I don't think every story... Like, I think the ultimate message of the work is more important.
And I guess also the other thing too would then be, if you wanted to have that happy ending occur, well, you need to have more power given to you than is given in the game, because at this point in time you're talking about basically having to achieve time travel to have some of these things be saved.
Well, I mean, with Asriel, if you had a way to recreate his heart or give him something, because we already seen him turn back, so he's not as bad. Kara and Gaster are more the bigger issues.
I mean, in theory, you could say, in my opinion, this is me viewing this as a writer, like, how would I solve this? Have it be that the scientist person, I forget their name, not Gaster, or Alphys, make a robot body, stick Asriel inside of that. Like, it's not the perfect solution, but it at least lets them exist.
Yeah, the common fandom solution when they want to write stuff is having Frisk give half of their heart to one of the two of them to fix things.
That doesn't seem...
I agree with you. I would love to see this dealt with in a sequel. I think there's more than enough. Like, with how people feel about Asriel and how much the fan base wants him to get a happy ending, if they did a sequel where part of it is trying to fix things for him, a huge portion of Undertale fans would buy it literally just for that.
Yeah, probably. In my mind, the I don't say the simplest, but the best solution for it would be make a robot body for Asriel, because we know that you can do it, and we know it has worked before because Metatron's in the flipping game. Yep. So if you can figure out a way to prevent the Flowey persona basically from reasserting itself.
By the way, I didn't mention earlier, but the underlying premise for all the Gaster stuff seems to be his experiments are the reason that you can save and load. It's the reason determination does what it does in the underground. It was supposed to be some kind of way some kind of way to allow them to keep trying different ways to break out of the underground, and it just did not end well.
Okay, well, in that case, again, in my mind, if you have it be a sequel, maybe he broke out somehow, and then you now, Undertale 2 is literally find out where this piece of shit is and bring him back to the underworld to face judgment or of some kind.
There's all kinds of stuff. Like, between the fact that that Asriel / Flowey, the major villain of the first half of the story, Kara, the ultimate villain of the Genocide run, as well as Gaster, the one who allows you to do all the shit you do to be able to survive the game, are all still around, not with resolutions, goes, well, there's a shitload left that they could easily make a second game if they wanted to.
Yeah, but again, it's all going to be up to whether he wants to, and honestly, with this fan base, I would be really apprehensive to do so. Because, again, like, this is far and away, like, there's some pretty toxic fan bases that we've all come across at one point in time. I think the Undertale community is far and away the most toxic thing I've come across in video games.
I've deep dived into the fan base. I would say I don't think it's that, and I've seen the worst of it. There's definite, like, the dark side of, let's say, the Steven Universe or Rick and Morty community is way worse than Undertale. The Undertale community is generally rather positive. Like, most of the communities have a really negative side everywhere. With the Undertale one, there's definitely a certain places, but in general in the community, it's actually pretty supportive and positive. In the community itself. It's how the community reacts with other people that's the issue.
Yeah, I've not gone into full dives on Steven Universe or but the other one you mentioned, so I can't. Rick and Morty, Rick and Morty is a show that I just don't watch because
you don't.
I think I grew past that, to be completely honest.
I've never seen Rick and Morty, but I know about the community.
Yeah, I know it's pretty shitty too. But Brian, I think we're finally near the end.
I think we're winding down.
You think we are? Now that we're getting near like 3.5 hours? Not quite.
How long do we need before we hit Final Fantasy VII?
Like an hour and a half.
Like another 30-45 minutes, and I'm not going to let you I'm not going to let you drag this out that long.
Oh, Brian.
Oh, please. We don't want to have that much of a bad time.
It is also 6:30 at night. I am getting hungry.
Dude, I have to wake up at 3:30 for work, so trust me.
So,
yeah, let's wrap up, shall we?
Let's put this to bed. It's, the fact that we've managed to get this much discussion out of a relatively short game, it's critically acclaimed for a reason. So,
I know that you were not ultimately a large fan of the game, Brian, but can you at least see what attracts so many people to it?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, the game itself might not have pushed all the right buttons for me, but I can certainly see, why and how this appealed to a great many people and still does. I mean, if I do encourage people who have not played this to please go ahead and play it. Just avoid the fandom if you possibly can. So, all right. So if any of you now that we've bashed the Undertale fandom, if you have any questions, comments, relating to this episode or any other episodes, the flame war might certainly happen.
Fans, I swear, I am one of you. I love Aftertale. I please don't. Please just don't.
But yes, if you have any questions, comments, thoughts about this episode or any other episode of Downloadable Content, just drop us a line on the feedback button on the Downloadable Content website, dlcpodcast.com. Every single episode there, iTunes, YouTube, Stitcher, Google Play Music, it is all there. Let us know if you want to be on a future episode, and do what you want. With that, all it remains for me to do is to thank Ronnie, and Dejah for being on our Season 8 opener. I am Brian. Have a good one, everybody.